Good evening, good afternoon. It's not morning anywhere. Maybe in Australia if EU is awake, but this was a little fast. I've been waiting all day for this hearing to begin because Mo and I have talked about covering this case. And when I lay on the sofa getting ready to watch my football team play, of course, I got the notice that they were having the hearing at 1:30 Eastern time, I believe it is. So I'm a bit stressed. I have sent out some invites. Hopefully, some will show up, or I'll do it myself. I'm used to doing that. It's hard being lonely. But this case, if some of you haven't seen it, is known as the Black Widower case. The man who had 6 wives, and 2 of them are probably still alive, but 4 of them died in mysterious ways. He has been convicted and been formally had the death penalty, but because the state used a prior bad act. Sorry, I'm kind of stressed, so my English is just catching up. But they used his prior acts against him, and that's why it was overturned in 2020. And now Wednesday the case should start. But this is a hearing. I'm not sure what the hearing is about, but we'll see. And if the Adam Montgomery sentencing is coming in at some point, the guy who was convicted of having illegal weapons, we might take a look at this as if this is too boring. But Adam Montgomery will also be on trial for the disappearance, murder of his young daughter, who he had just had custody over. And according to the affidavit, he did some gruesome things to her. But first of all, I'd like to welcome a very, very great guy, a guy who I always like to stop by and watch covering cases because he's just a nice, mellow guy. And welcome, Dylan.
Hi, Baker. How are you?
Oh, I'm stressed. I'm a bit tired, and my football team is playing right now, and it's not going too good. But so I'm just getting my zen back. But thank you for
Who's your
showing
football
up.
team? Who's your football team, though?
It's called OB. It's Odense in Denmark.
Cool.
And we've been shit for a lot of years, but you know how it is with football. You love them even when
Yeah.
they're bad.
Well,
So
I'm trying to go towards NFL a bit more now, so a bit more
yeah,
predictable.
but it's kind of the NFL. It's fun to watch, but then again, it's run, commercial, sit down, wait, and they say we have a boring
Cheerleaders.
sport. Oh,
Hi,
good evening, good afternoon, Jamie.
Dylan.
Hello, Jamie. Evening, afternoon, morning.
So, but
What
let's
is it?
do the YouTube thing we should always do when we start. We should say, "Hello, reindeer." One blessed Nana is here. Salbert,
Albert.
a love child between Nick and Runkle. Yeah, he kind of looks like something they could have made. Irish, thank you for your comment. I'm not sure whatever it was you wrote, but Denada. No, he's a ladies' man. He has had 6 wives, and only 4 of them died mysteriously. Hey, Texas, Jen. Donna T, long time no see.
We've got a question.
Swept.
Can I ask a question, Baker?
Yeah, sure.
How do you I've never been backstage. Well, maybe I have once, but how do you respond to the chat? Because
In StreamYard. I can write in StreamYard. You can't write. You have to go and put my feed up and then write in that chat. It's so
that's
annoying.
was no fine.
Yeah, because
fine.
we could for maybe a week. They put it in so everyone could write if you. I believe if you were logged in with a YouTube account. But I don't know if it's only when we dual stream. Mo and I have been dual streaming a case because I can do the morning show and then I go to bed. Not go to bed, but I to sign off around now, and then she take the evening part because you know how it is. Americans,
Yeah,
they live
I
in a
know.
weird time zone, and we like to cover
They're
the
just
cases.
weird.
But
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, Jung Min, thank you for the updates. Kim, hello. Is there anyone else we have to say hello to? I'm always way behind in the beginning. Paige M, hey, hello. But do you know anything about this case?
I know that he's a little bit randy. That he can't keep it between in his trousers. I know that much. And I also believe is he accused of alleviating 4, or has he been
Only the one,
prosecuted?
only his sixth
He's been
wife. But I
fine.
think he was convicted on the first wife too, or no, he wasn't convicted. He was they couldn't prove it, I believe, but they brought all of that into the case because he got did he get like 600K in life insurance, and
Ooh.
this one had a lot of life insurances too. So and allegedly a guy broke into the home, shot the wife, according to this defendant, and then he shot the perpetrator. But it didn't really add up. I have been looking into the coverage, and you can see him go through the house telling how he did it, and it didn't really add up. So it's it's going to be interesting. And the judge seemed. I saw a hearing. We covered a hearing was it on Saturday, Jamie? We covered the hearing, I believe so.
Yeah.
She got a little attitude too, so it could be fun. Hey,
If I know rightly as well, the first time I saw this person, I genuinely no word of a lie, and no offense to anybody, but I thought this dude was a woman.
I did
Yeah.
too.
Did you? Because
you have a mugshot of him where he looks kind of like an old woman when it's directly in front of his face. So
Yep. Each to their own, but they kept saying he, as him. I was like, that's a woman. Why are they calling him?
yeah,
Well,
he
he's a
has a
woman.
very soft face, if you can say it that way.
Well, and then you see
Well,
other
yeah.
pictures of him, and then he looks totally different. So I don't know.
Jamie, personal question, would he be your type?
No,
No.
no.
You have got
We
like
talked
a
about
limit.
this. Yeah.
You've got a limit. That's fine. I mean, you got standards. That's good.
Well,
You
I
got
mean,
standards.
maybe we'll have a chat and we'll see. Because maybe it's his personality. Maybe he's just, I don't know. Maybe he's charming.
But I watched him talk. He doesn't seem like a cool guy.
No, he doesn't. That's why I'm like, what?
Yeah, but he might have a big one. He might have a big sausage.
Yeah.
Jamie's all over that one. Jamie be all over it. Let's be honest.
Oh, Dylan.
Sorry,
Maybe it's
Jamie. I haven't seen you for a long time.
maybe it's the big back pocket that most ladies are more into. And if he got 600K for her first
That
wife,
only lasts so long.
something about
Let's
that.
not talk about sausages either. Sal's in the chat has seen him, so he's a bit of a, anything with penises, and Sal's all over it. So
Yeah,
he's
he's the only guy I know who made a FOIA request to see more penises.
Yeah,
I know, unbelievable.
guys.
But while we're waiting, I have a little plug to do if I can find it. Here we go. I can do a little linky thing. And because on Sunday I will be on with Cool Frog and shoot the breeze. He's been kind enough to invite me on, and so on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be on with Cool Frog and see where it takes us. I only watched. I don't believe I've been on a stream with him, but he seems kind of like a cool guy, and it is what it is on the tubes. if you meet nice people and they invite you on, you say hello and thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll be on with Cool Frog on this Sunday, and I will plug it a lot through the week, because it would be nice if some of you would show up and see that, and see what we're going to talk about. Yeah, he does look like a woman. It's
weird.
Yeah, if I can find the picture, it's just he looks like a grandma. Can I blow this up? Come on. I have to do this.
Yeah, remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the Broken Baker, hit the notification bell for notifications. Look at that. You got a well-trained baker.
Well, I have the nicest muffin tops helping me.
No, that's not what they're called.
Yeah, so but all of you wanted a name. This looks like an old lady.
It does.
It's when I saw it, I couldn't. I didn't see a man. And ladies, 6 wives.
I think one of them he married for like 2 minutes. He was like, "Nah, this isn't for me. I'm good." Like,
well, he had tried it, so he knows what to look out for.
That was funny.
What's your background, by the way?
Me?
What's your no? Sorry, your StreamYard background, as in that.
Oh, that's because I have covered Danish politics today. It's the Danish Parliament.
Ah, okay.
So
it's nice.
It's the old King's Castle, and when we got democracy, the Parliament took it over. So it's a nice. I knew some people who used to be in the Parliament, so I've been there a couple of times. It's old and not really up to date, but it's pretty cool. And as you know, old historic buildings, we have a lot of them. It's not like the Americans. That's everything over 50 years is old over there. But it's Christiansborg Castle. It's I think it burned down 3 times or something like that. And then the king, now the queen, moved to Amalienborg, the new castle. So, and young men, there won't be any workouts today. Only if it's getting really, really boring. Then maybe I'll find some. But I did back and biceps today, and forearms. So they were, his past bad acts were allowed to be admitted, and that's why it was thrown out. So there's a lot of speculation about how much they will try to bring in this time, because they lost once on appeal, so they probably don't want to do that again.
I think that's ridiculous, because if it was the crime that he was acquitted of, so like how they have somebody come in and testify all about it when he was found not guilty.
It's kind of like you did the video on today, Dylan. Until proven guilty, not until proven innocent. It's kind of like double jeopardy, because you're free, but we still think you did it, so we can bring it in. Mm-hmm. And hey, Tiania. Yeah, Muffin Top is the greatest. I think, didn't you start calling you Muffin Tops? Well, she believes it. That's not proof of anything. Yeah. She's just, It's great when people think alike and you can get your questions asked without asking. Yeah, he kind of, maybe he looks more like a cross between Axl Rose and what's his name, the actor from The Wrestler, Mickey Rooney.
Mickey Rooney. No.
After he got his face smashed in because all of his.
Rourke. What is his name?
Mickey Rourke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So. They are in court, so hopefully we'll get starting. So, but what's up with you? You was trying to cover a case today, Dylan. Did it ever come on, or?
No. I've had a disaster, Baker. I've had a disaster. It's an interesting case. I don't remember the name of the case now, but it looked interesting.
Yeah.
But the court decided not to stream it, and which is a nightmare. So that was not good. And then I was trying to look for another trial. That wouldn't happen.
There's
So,
3
yeah.
this week, just so you know.
Is there?
Yeah. Austin Ford, this one, and a guy named Dinkins. They're all supposed to start in the middle of the week, though. I'll send you the thingy.
Well, they all streamed though. I find it quite hard with the courts and
Law
stuff.
Crimes website. They said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The murder board is always ready. So, yeah, yeah, and I believe Mo will probably be jumping on, but she has back to school stuff and all that, so she will probably be jumping on this trial when it starts Wednesday with me. We've talked about it, but everyone knows when school starts up and everything is chaos. So don't hold me to it, but I hope she have the time. But she was on with Nicholas today. I don't know if they're still going and covering. I can't remember the name of that case, but that was kind of a weird case too.
They're doing the Austin Ford retrial. It says it's supposed to start later today or tomorrow morning, so I think he's kind of like waiting it out.
I think it's kind of annoying because I can go to my if I go to my local courts where I am a layman, I can see each case that's going this week and at what time it starts. I was trying to look into both this and the Adam Montgomery sentencing, and I can't find any times for anything, and it's just annoying because I can look up in a little rinky-dink court in Denmark. We can't stream from that. That's the big problem, but it's just annoying that you can't plan anything because, as I said, I've been waiting for this all morning, and then I'm laying down at 7, and then they sent me the link and say, "Hey, it's going live now."
No, it is annoying, and I'm the same in the UK. We know what's in advance, great, but we can't stream it.
Yeah.
But the US, I try and contact courts and stuff like that, but they do all just turn back and be like, "No, you can't stream it." So there's less and less streams I find now. So
yeah, then you have I've seen what's his name, Law Talk with Mike. He has a lot of these Zoom meetings. He's streaming because a lot of judges have Zoom set up so everyone can stream it. But again, you have to figure out where it is and what. But do you then know what cases have been brought? Most of them are small claims and stuff like that, so they're maybe not as interesting. But it's just annoying that you can't go in and see on the front page. We have where you can see criminal cases, civil cases, and bankruptcies. You can see which cases are going on, who's what charges up. You can't see the name of the defendant, but you can see the case number, and you can see which lawyers are representing the defense. So you know everything. So it's a bit annoying.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I think most schools are starting this week too. So she has a lot to see. Yeah, and everyone go to the alternate corner and visit Dylan. He has a lot. You stream way too much, my friend.
Oh, I'm cutting back a lot. I'm trying to do more videos now. Yeah, I'm trying to do more videos and live streams, if I'm being honest. Or I'm trying to look for those unique. Because I find, I'm not sure, you probably find the same, Baker. It's constant. Look at her, she's there. It's constant because everyone streams the same ones all the time. So it's like,
Yeah, I've been really lucky with. First, I jumped on this Adam Montgomery case. He had a weapons charge, and it was kind of not relevant, but his daughter has been missing, and he's going on trial for it.
yeah.
So it's no matter. We're going to be a second or two. So I jumped on that to cover the gun charges, and that brought me a few viewers. But then because a lot of the witnesses will be coming back for the disappearing murder of the daughter, so I thought then you know the case and you can talk about it. And then Dave asked me to help him cover a case in Texas. It was the boringest case ever with the worst defense and the worst prosecutors. So we jumped on the Bradley Yawn trial, a pro se defendant who made the greatest arguments, and then Mo and I found another murder in Texas. So it's been good cases, because some cases you're just wanting to scratch your eyes out because it's so boring.
Mhm.
Of course, it's going live right as we're gonna jump into this now, I promise people, and then
Which motion is he?
I'll keep an eye on it. If it's just a short one, we can play it later, or else I'll play it tomorrow. We'll look into it.
We have no objection
Hey.
to going first, but just
Indigo, I'm just gonna see if I
Hey,
can
Rona.
boost the sound.
Mr. Randolph has an issue regarding his medical condition as it relates to the trial.
Okay.
He had a specific request of the court that he be allowed to be taken back to his unit when they have extended breaks, like over the lunch hour.
Okay.
That will help him regulate his medicine and eat, and make sure that he can stay awake during trial. That's a concern for both he and his counsel.
Okay.
He also has a number of health issues that Your Honor is aware of.
I'm aware.
So assuming that we can accommodate that, I think it would make the trial process much smoother for everyone.
All right. I will. Obviously, I'm not going to put that on you. I know that's not the decision that you make. I will call over to the jail on our lunch break and have a discussion with them regarding that.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay. So I can't make any promises that happens today. Would you be able to get through today?
Yeah, I'd probably get through all of it, but it's just the sitting
Okay.
and compressing of the discs, and it's just gonna make things a lot worse. And then I can get my medicine at a set time. It just makes me knock off the medicine, but it's just a matter of getting it at a different time so that I'm nodding off, not in court. We keep talking about it, but they send somebody and they'll say it has to be Dr. Mapleton, but I never see him. So
I'm just saying today, when we break for lunch today, I'm going to call the jail and address this issue with them.
Break
So
for lunch?
this- I'm setting
What
up
time
a
is it in
notification
Nevada?
Today of what them and I talked
3
about
hours
for
behind.
lunch, but we should be able to have that addressed.
Three-
next month.
Oh,
10, quarter to 11.
All right, so let's go with this. Defense motion to eliminate suppress video walking. May
Dear
record
Mo.
reflect that the court has read the motion as well as.
I'm
the court
gonna
has read
need a nap in the
state's
afternoon.
opposition. We are prepared for the evidence.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just for the record, Your
I
Honor,
was
did you
thinking
review
about
the
that
video of the?
I did. I have had an opportunity. Mr. Tomczak provided me with video, and there were approximately 15-minute sections. Is
Correct.
was that the totality?
Yes.
Okay, because that's what I saw.
Okay.
Okay.
And so I'll just.
Oh.
All right.
yeah, I'm not covering that prosecution team, because that was. Then I'd rather sit here till 2 in the morning and then take the afternoon.
They are so ridiculous.
Yeah, the 21 slams to the table, I was ready to die. Oh, I have to put.
I was ready to drive to Texas myself.
Yeah, Indigo didn't want to go in there and do it for us.
Yeah, she should have.
You just want to swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. Please be seated. Will you please state and spell your first and last name for the record?
Why won't it?
Clifford, CLIFFORD, Mogg, MOGG.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Sir, how are you employed?
I'm a detective with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, Homicide Section. I've been a police officer for over 35 years, with Metro for 27, and assigned to the Homicide Section for 20 years.
Okay, got my next 3 questions. Were you part of the group of detectives that were assigned to investigate the murder of Sharon Randolph as well as Michael Miller?
I was.
Did you respond to the original scene on the 8th of May of 2008?
That's correct.
Actually, kind of going into the 9th of May, did you sit down and interview the defendant, Thomas Randolph?
I did.
Was that with Detective Hardy?
Correct.
You see Mr. Randolph in the courtroom today?
I do. Seated next to defense counsel, wearing a headset.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant?
The record was so front.
That first interview was conducted at Metro headquarters.
Correct.
Sometime after that, were you participating or were you a participant in a video walkthrough at the Rancho Santa Fe residence?
I was on May 15th.
Okay, can you kind of walk the court through the logistics of how that was arranged with Mr. Randolph to the extent you're have personal knowledge of that?
Just one second, it's May 15th of 2008, correct?
That's correct now.
I really like to hear what
On,
this
May
hearing is
14th,
about.
I know.
spoke to
Yeah,
Mr.
I was
Randolph
about to ask you
via
that.
telephone
What the hell is this
and,
about?
asked
You
him if
don't
he was
know.
still willing
It
to
seems
do
like they just started the
walkthrough.
case, but there's no
Was
jury
Yeah.
selection.
scheduled it for the evening of the
Well, there's no
15th.
open
about
statements,
8 o'clock
though.
at night, I believe is when it started.
Did he arrive, I assume obviously he's out of custody at this point.
Correct.
Did he arrive,
Hold on, just one second.
Yeah,
Okay, Mr.
that
Randolph,
courtroom was, and the court and the judge and everything was wrong.
Can you hear me? Okay, Mr. Randolph, the only
Yep, we can
person I
hear
can
you.
hear is you.
Can we also
So I
like
know that you're trying to
appreciate
whisper, but just keep in mind, I'm picking up
Court
everything you're
reporter.
saying, and it's hard for me to hear Detective Bump.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know what you and Mr. Orr want to work out, but I can only hear you.
She has some attitude.
She does.
Okay.
he does? Jesus,
so,
sass. I even
Mr.
shut up
Randolph
then.
Obviously is out of custody on the 14th,
That's correct.
and you contacted him with a phone number that he provided to you.
Yes.
And it
Well,
sounds
he-
like there might have been a discussion.
He-
prior
he
to the
has been,
14th about
convicted
doing the
previously,
walkthrough. Is that fair, or
so-
was it first broached on the 14th?
There was discussion.
Okay, prior to that.
Yes.
And then you asked him if he could meet the next evening on the 15th.
Never seen anything about that
And
case,
was
but I
the
saw
time,
he unalived himself.
8:30 in the evening important with regard to the case?
I believe we wanted to try
Nope.
and make it the same time as when the incident was reported, or as close as we could get to that. And we also wanted to make it convenient for both us and Mr. Randolph.
Okay, when you got there, what other Metro personnel were present?
My sergeant, Rocky Albee, I believe Detective Rob Wilson was there, Detective Dino Kelly, myself, and then there was the Metro videographer, and I can't recall his name.
Okay, the videographer, is that person associated, or was that person associated with homicide, or was that person just there to film?
No, he's not associated with our section. He is a Metro employee, and that was just what he did for the department was video recordings.
And
Selbert.
we're talking video back in 2008, right? This
Aw.
Cold showers.
or anything like that.
That's correct.
And so it was like a bigger camera?
Large camera.
Okay.
How can she live in
that
Nevada and
person's
be that
duty
pale?
was not to ask questions,
Was
but
it
just
hot?
document what took place.
Correct.
Yeah, but
No, they
when,
jump outside in the summer.
When you got there, did you get there before Mr. Randolph, or was he there before you?
Dylan,
No, we got
cold
there
showers.
prior to.
Okay, did you
You and
see Mr.
Selbert,
Randolph
you,
arrive?
He
At least you
arrived
can't see
with,
it.
I believe it was his brother, and I don't
That's
recall
right.
his name.
Okay, and did both of those individuals get out of the car?
Yes.
Did you speak to the brother at all, or were you only speaking with Mr. Randolph?
I believe I introduced Mr. Randolph and his brother to all of my partners who were present, kind of explained to them what was going
Kim,
on.
go in the
And then
courtroom
after
for
that, I
us.
just
Yeah.
dealt with Mr.
Yeah,
Randolph.
go say that
Okay.
they should
And
start at
where
4
did
a.m. in the
brother
morning.
go
I would
while you
like
were
that.
Speaking with Mr. Randolph.
I believe he went to the backyard and sat back there with Sergeant Albee.
Okay, and so he isn't interacting with yourself or Mr. Randolph at all during the course of the walkthrough?
No.
When Mr. Randolph arrived, did he ask to move the walkthrough to a different day?
No.
Did he say he wasn't prepared to do the walkthrough?
No.
Did he say he had ingested any medication or any kind of substance which would make it difficult for him to
You're so
walk through?
No,
Did he ask for any kind of delay whatsoever in doing the walkthrough?
none.
Once the walkthrough
We don't get
started,
2 seconds
was there
into
point
a
in
new
time
case before
when
Sal
the-
is falling in
the
love with
videotapes
someone.
had to be changed because they were sort of filled up with
He
data?
just wears his heart on
Correct.
his sleeve.
During the times there's no filming going on, did Mr. Randolph ask to stop the walkthrough at all?
I don't recall him ever asking to stop the walkthrough.
Do you recall him ever asking to delay the walkthrough or take a break during the walkthrough?
Toward the end of the walkthrough, I believe he made some mention of his back hurting. And after that, it was only a couple minutes.
Sal
before-
can have a.
Okay.
She's too white.
After the walkthrough,
She's too
I assume he
Too pale,
leaves with
should
his
say, not
brother.
white.
Yes,
And then the homicide
Me
people
why?
all leave as well as the videographer.
correct.
At any time prior
It's not
to
wrong.
him doing the walkthrough, was it suggested to him that if he did not do the walkthrough, he would be arrested?
She has 2 water bottles.
Not by me.
How hot can it be in that
Nobody
room?
that I heard talk to him said that either.
I mean,
And any time during the walkthrough, did you hear anyone tell him,
Yeah.
you either do the walkthrough or
I
you
have
will
a
be
cup of coffee
arrested?
and then I go fill it again.
You didn't hear anyone else say that either.
I need a
right?
coffee,
No.
actually.
Anytime, to your
maybe she's
knowledge,
gonna
or
be there a
when-
while. I don't know.
anytime that you had conversations, Ms.
Yeah,
with
but
Mr.
if you
do
drink that
instant-
much,
Was there ever
Do you drink
advocate
instant
that if he
coffee,
did
sir,
not
Baker?
participate in this walkthrough, he
Yeah,
would be arrested?
yeah.
Thank
When
you,
I have
sir.
to
I'll
jump
pass
on
away
stream,
your
I have instant coffee. I also
Oh,
make a pot of coffee.
Good man.
No.
So
Morning, Detective Mogg.
Morning, Mr. Tomchek.
I'm the
you?
same.
I'm well, and you?
No,
Good,
no,
thanks.
no.
Just
What's-
want to talk
what-
to you about a couple of
Mods,
issues.
what's that mean?
Related to the testimony you just gave on direct examination, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't know what that means.
You were aware
British
of
ladies
the
are known for being
investigation
a
as
tad
to
pale.
the homicides that
Yeah,
occurred
that's what I
back
thought.
on May 8th,
Oh, okay.
a week prior to the walkthrough date, right?
That's correct.
Okay, that's fair, man.
Were you present at the scene?
I was.
Did you
But if-
walk the scene?
I did.
if a
Were you present
Welshman
when photographs were
and
taken?
this pale lady made a baby, it would be
I may have been
see-through.
present when some were taken.
So
And as you discussed with other detectives in the course of the investigation, that was an issue that came up more than once, right?
Which issue?
That he was on prescription medication.
I don't believe it was ever an issue. We knew that he took medication for pain. I believe it was for his back.
Okay. And you
Before you
mentioned
mods.
that during the course of the walkthrough, he actually talked to you about that back pain
At the end,
during the course of the walkthrough, right?
at the end of the walkthrough, yes.
Okay.
ladies, what do we think
Um,
about the defense
Is it your
lawyer?
testimony that you were unaware
like his hair.
prior to the inception of the walkthrough on the 15th
He has the same.
that he had
We're
taken
getting
pain
old.
medication?
I would have no
Samples like me.
knowledge if he took pain medication or not.
Have you watched the walkthrough?
I have.
Would
You
you
have-
agree with me that as you observe him on that walkthrough, you see
getting the
indicia
widow's
of
peak.
some type of impairment?
It depends at what point there is an indication of some type of impairment. When he had to get down on his knees and get back up, he complained that there was a little bit of pain. But other than that, it wasn't like he was complaining consistently of pain.
What's he doing on his
Maybe
knees?
my question wasn't clear.
Yet
You'd agree with me at some point, I think you said it was towards the end.
They
he
did a
make complaint
walkthrough.
About pain, yes?
Yes,
Maybe it was.
You would
He's on his
agree
knees.
with me that
Acting it out.
independent of any self-reporting of pain,
It's like
And what-
Jamie's
there
on
was
his knees, but
indicia
why is he on his
things that
knees?
you saw in Mr. Randolph that evening,
and,
that
and
he was
why
under the influence of something.
why are we talking about his
under
knees?
the influence, no.
Okay.
Is-
Is it your testimony
is
you
it to
didn't
throw
see
out
him
the-
having, for instance, droopy eyes?
The interview or whatever.
Not any more than the
Get
first
it.
time that I talked to him.
Because he was on
Would you agree with me
medication.
that both of those conversations he had droopy
Yeah.
eyes?
So the defense can say that he was drugged up, yeah, but
I don't know what he normally looks like outside of my contact with him, but he was able to answer questions intelligently. He recalled things.
Indigo, you're
Um,
just a
spoke
female
clearly.
cellbird.
I didn't believe
You
that
don't
he
smash
was in
anything.
any type of impaired condition.
Okay. Take it back to my question. Did you see droopy eyes or not?
Except
Yes.
cellbird.
Okay. And did you see droopy eyes prior to the walkthrough on the 15th of May?
In the
Yes.
best possible way, Indigo. I'm not saying
When the
anything
tape
bad
first
about
starts
you.
rolling in the walkthrough,
You're just like
it
Selbert. You
appears
have a
to
lot of
me
love.
as if there's a little bit of slurring of words. Would you agree with that?
No.
Okay. It's your testimony that as you watch the walkthrough, you didn't see any indicia of impairment in the form of slurred words.
I didn't notice any.
Did you ask him prior to
Shoulders,
rolling
knees and
tape on the
toes, knees and
walkthrough
toes,
whether or not he had
and
ingested
shoulders,
any
knees and toes,
mind-altering
knees and
substances?
toes. I don't know the rest of it.
I don't recall. I don't believe so.
Okay. So for instance, like when we're in a courtroom and we're going to ask somebody something
Yeah.
important, one of
I
the things the judge asks
I have a
them
friend
is,
like
"Are you
that.
under the
His wife is
influence?
not
Have you
really
taken
happy about
any
his
medication
amount of love.
may impact your ability to talk in court today." You're aware of that, right?
Correct.
Okay.
No, it's not
You didn't
so.
ask him any questions like that, did you?
See, swept.
You were aware that he had multiple different versions of opioid-related medications for the treatment of pain, right?
I believe so, yes.
And you know that the ingestion of opioids can affect someone's ability to perceive things, to understand things, and to articulate things, right?
So
I
they
don't
want
know
the
that I would go
testimony
that
thrown
far.
out, or what is this hearing about?
Because I know people who use pain medications and they function just fine.
Yeah, I did a stream
Agreed.
of muscle
But
relaxers.
there's also
I did
people
really
that
good.
ingest pain medications that
You
don't
were- that was
function
rough.
just fine, right?
Correct.
And as a result
I
of
got
that,
tired in
people
the
are
end.
given warnings when they take pain medications that you shouldn't do certain things, right?
That's correct.
Because it can impact your normal human faculties, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you agree with me, you didn't ask him any of those questions prior to the walkthrough.
I didn't ask any of those questions. I didn't notice anything that would cause me to ask that question.
Okay. So in answer to my question, you didn't ask anything.
No, sir.
Okay.
No.
Do you recall having communication with Mr. Randolph after your interview on the 9th and prior to the walkthrough on the 15th?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall speaking to him on the telephone the evening of the 15th prior to the walkthrough?
Why
I
is
don't recall
Selbert's
the
girlfriend
15th.
even in
I
the
know
courtroom?
I
She's
spoke
not
to
doing
him,
anything.
From what I recall from the report on the 14th.
Fingers down.
Okay.
Is she the?
The cellular telephone that
She's
you were
not- she's
using
not the
as
court
a
reporter,
Metro
because she's not
detective
writing
back in
anything.
2008, did it end in the
She
digits
keeps lifting up her hand,
5608?
so
Yes.
not
She's
that
just
good.
flicking
She
her
might
hair.
be-
There was a phone call on
She's
the
playing with
evening of
something down there. I'm not
5/15,
sure what.
2008 at 19:18
She's building
hours,
Legos
just
or
for the
something.
record, in real
That's
people
why she's
time,
got the
what time
bottles
is
there.
that?
7:18 p.m.
Okay. Between yourself and Mr. Randolph's cellular telephone lasting 68 seconds, would you dispute that you or someone using your phone spoke to him?
No, not at all.
Yeah,
As you sit,
On the 14th?
the 15th,
he gets him to talk about the things he wants him to talk about.
19:18 hours.
7:18. Is it incoming or not?
No, she
It is a
wrote on her
call from
notepad just
Detective
before.
Mogg to Thomas Randolph's cell phone. You don't dispute that that call was placed?
No, not at all. That would have been me calling to make sure that he was still coming.
Okay. Do you
This-
remember anything else about the
Yeah.
content of that?
Maybe he had 24 lawyers while waiting for this trial. And this is not the lawyer we saw in the previous hearing. So that was a chubby guy named Mr. Orn or something. So I don't know who this guy is because he wasn't in the last hearing. But he was thinking about changing lawyers the last time we heard him. So
24.
I think she is. Sal, 100% right. Knowing Sal, he knows where she lives, her age, her size, bra size, knickers, everything about her. So he knows everything about this woman by now. So I trust Sal.
I don't
Yeah.
trust him.
He's the male's
do.
feral.
There we are. The massive sim.
I do not.
B cup. I
Do
told
you
you, didn't
remember
I?
telling Mr. Randolph that it was necessary that he come?
Well, it would be necessary for him to be there if we were going to do a walkthrough.
Do you recall telling him that if he didn't come, there would be consequences?
No.
Do you recall threatening him with arrest as a material witness if he didn't attend?
No.
Okay. Why then did you call him at 20:03 hours on that same night?
Flux, the new guy is Dylan from the alternate corner, if it's the new guy you're talking about. Dylan is a Welshman who also cover all kinds of stuff. He streams way too much. I saw your stream where you talked about how it took a toll on your health, and
Yeah.
but you do great stuff. But think about yourself.
much.
We want you around for a long
Yeah.
time.
I appreciate that, Baker, and I will be. I appreciate that. And
Thank
hello,
you.
Flux.
Probably the same reason, see if he was going to be there.
Do you remember what time you arrived at the Rancho Santa Fe address?
I don't.
Okay. Do you remember what time the walkthrough started?
Somewhere around 8,
Okay. Roughly 8 o'clock?
approximately.
Okay. You would agree with me that if you called him at 20:03 hours to see where he was at, he probably wasn't there yet.
That's
right?
correct.
Okay. The time that the walkthrough begins, is that documented on the walkthrough itself?
It should be on the videos when they start recording.
Okay.
You're
You
about to grab
mentioned
a
on
coffee.
direct
We're back.
examination that there were
Yeah.
a number of different, well, let me back up for 1 second. You don't dispute that you called from that same cellular telephone ending in 5608 to Mr.
I'll
Randolph's
just keep that
cellular
till he's coming
telephone
back.
ending in 4285 at 20:03 hours.
No.
And that you talked to him for approximately a minute.
I don't dispute that.
Okay. Do you dispute that you made threats to him on that call?
Yes,
Okay. Is it your testimony that at no time you yourself told him he would be arrested as a material witness if he did not attend?
that's correct.
Okay. You just don't remember the content of that call.
I don't. I'm sure that it would have been something along the lines of, are you still on your way? How far out are
No,
you?
I'm missing the documents.
Do you recall
Can you call me?
when you spoke to him on either of those telephone calls or any other time prior to the 15th of May about him staying at a different residence? Do you recall any conversation about that?
I know I had conversation with him about staying somewhere else. I thought it might have been a family member's residence, possibly, just because he didn't want to be at the house.
Did you ever discuss with him whether or not he was staying at a hotel at any time during that week time period between the homicide and the 15th?
I could have, but I don't recall.
Do you
Normally
recall
we can
ever
see
getting a
where
telephone
they're
call
going with
from him staying at a hotel
these
on
questions,
that
but
cellular telephone ending in 566?
they're implying he threatened
No, I
him.
received
but
several
beyond that-
calls from Mr. Randolph. I don't recall the dates that
I don't really
received
see
every
where we're
one.
going.
Okay. Do you recall how long the walkthrough lasted?
I would estimate in the area of an hour.
Yeah,
less,
never talk to cops.
somewhere around there.
So in the information that was given to counsel in this case, there are 4 separate videos, which are each just a little over 15 minutes. Does that sound
Oh,
right?
they're getting
That
really
sounds
frisky
correct.
with the
Is it your
setup and the
testimony that
streaming
the
today.
only thing that happened
Good.
between
Jesus.
the break in those videos was the changing of tape?
I don't recall anything happening between the break in the videos.
Do you know how long the break in the videos was?
I do not.
Could it have been more than a couple minutes?
It could have been.
Do you have any idea whatsoever?
No.
Okay. During the breaks in the video, did you have any conversations with Mr. Randolph?
I don't believe so. I think I did the first part, and then I think Detective O'Kelly took over.
Hey, Young.
During the breaks in the video, can you say whether or not Detective O'Kelly had any?
I don't know if you know about Flux and her dog, but she
Yes.
named the dog in Minecraft after Jeff Weiss's legal vices, and
Yeah.
then she cold-heartedly pushed him out over
Yes.
a cliff, and now she's on trial for that. They're going to do a mock trial with Steve Gosney and MLS, and
Yeah.
Vices will be the judge. He's probably a bit biased in that case, but that'll be fun. It's just to make a mock trial to see how it goes, but justice for Jeff.
Justice for Jeff.
I have heard. It's weird because actually, Shelley was speaking about Flux today, and it's weird that she popped in today. So, and she did mention it. So
Yeah. Oh, so you know all about the heinous murder.
I don't know everything about it. I know that she mentioned it, and Flux was a murderer. That's all she said to me. I was like, okay. So, hi, Iris. Yeah, that's all I know.
Yeah, allegedly.
Ah,
This is one
Oh,
case
she didn't
where
say that. She
yeah,
didn't
but
say that.
it's we're gonna see. They have a crack prosecutor on the case.
yeah.
Yeah, her ears were burning.
Here.
He looks a little shady.
Well, keep saying that. Remember, you did it on tape.
She's like Beetlejuice.
Communication, Mr. Randolph.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we did.
You just can't tell us what it was about.
I don't recall what that conversation would have been.
Okay.
Dave is cute.
After the video walkthrough ended, what happened?
We left, Mr. Randolph left. That was it.
Okay. Do you recall after you left the Rancho Santa Fe address, receiving a call from Mr. Randolph to your cellular telephone ending in 5608 at 22:39 hours?
Apparently I did.
Do you recall that?
I don't recall it.
Okay. That call lasted about 4 minutes. Do you have any recollection of what you talked about?
None.
Okay. Do you remember discussing with Mr. Randolph the fact that he had in his possession bloody clothes related to the homicide?
I don't recall.
Would there be a reason you wouldn't want to take possession of clothes he was offering you that had apparent evidence on them?
I think
didn't
the wind just
conduct
knocked
a
over my
crime
trash
scene
cans. I'll be right
investigation.
back.
If he
Okay.
had
No worries.
bloody clothes that I was aware of that night, I would have told Detective O'Kelly and the crime scene investigators there. It would have been up to them to decide whether or not they felt that it was evidence that needed to be collected.
Okay. So in other words, you don't have any meaningful testimony to give because you're just the wrong witness.
I'm what?
Just the wrong witness for that question.
That's correct.
Okay. Do you have any ability to tell the court what you and Mr. Randolph talked about for that 4-minute phone call?
No.
After the interview ended, you mentioned Mr. Randolph left and you all left, being yourself, Detective Wilson, Detective O'Kelly, Sergeant Albee, and the videographer, right?
Yes.
After the tape stopped rolling and before you all departed, did you observe Detective O'Kelly having a conversation with Mr. Randolph?
I'm sure I did, but I don't recall what that conversation would have been.
Do you recall any communication, either by yourself or by other detectives in your presence, to Mr. Randolph at the conclusion of the interview, wherein there were representations made to Mr. Randolph that there were problems with his story?
I believe Detective O'Kelly may have said something to that effect.
Do you recall any threats made by Detective O'Kelly to Mr. Randolph during that conversation?
No.
Court's open.
Thank you. Detective Mog, the calls that were referenced by counsel that took place, like one was at 8, and I think one was like 20 minutes till 8. I think
Don't
you
like the
explained that
cardigan.
those were
Yeah.
sort of confirming
pretty
with
ugly.
Mr. Randolph that he's on his way.
That's the only thing I could imagine that I would have spoke to Mr. Randolph.
Doesn't bring out
about.
her
Okay.
eyes. I don't know.
Anything unusual about that since you're meeting, you're meeting at a particular location, you're not in the homicide offices?
Not at all, because we would have arrived before him, so I wanted to make sure that he was still en route.
Okay. And as a police officer, you've had training in recognizing when someone is under the influence,
That's correct.
and your training would include noting particular physiological signs, if they're slurring
Laugh.
words, how they appear, if they don't appear oriented, that type of thing.
Yes.
In your discussions with Mr. Randolph on the 15th, did he appear oriented?
Yes.
Did he appear lucid?
Yes.
Hi, Dave.
Was he tracking the conversation?
Yes.
I'm Dilla,
Did he
Lexi.
give any answers that
I'm
seemed
not as horny as Sal.
illogical or sort of out of place given the discussion that was going on?
Go, Pack. Go,
No.
Dave.
Was there any sense that you had that he was having trouble tracking your questions or following what you were saying?
No.
Now, there was discussion about the
Well,
phrase.
watch out for the
"will
grammar
be
police.
arrested
As a
as
dyslexic, I know all
material
about it.
witness on cost." Does that have any meaning to you as a homicide detective?
Hey, Dave. Welcome.
At that point in the investigation, he was the victim of the burglary. His wife was a victim of the murder. And the other person who was shot at that point, this was a case at that point of a possible self-defense.
That's true.
So he was not a material witness. He was a witness.
Right. And Do you recall ever using that terminology to suggest if he didn't cooperate, he would be arrested as a quote material witness?
No.
The video walkthrough took place on the 15th,
Hi, Wendy.
correct?
That's correct.
There was another interview of Mr. Randolph on June 3rd, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
In between those two interviews, was he arrested?
Thank you so much, Wendy,
So,
and hi.
presumably on that June 3rd interview, he drove down and met with yourself and Detective O'Kelly,
Yes,
and that was voluntary.
correct.
He could have stopped, he could have not appeared.
Yes,
And actually, for that matter, during the walkthrough, he could have stopped it if he wanted to.
yes.
With regard to the prescription medication mentioned by defense counsel, I think you said at the scene you saw evidence of prescription medication in the home.
Yes,
You would have no knowledge of what Mr. Randolph took or didn't take prior to meeting with you for the walkthrough?
No.
You certainly didn't have a detailed accounting from him as to what he took before he met with you.
that's correct.
Thank you, sir.
Hmm.
Any recourse?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, we'd like to excuse. Executive Bond, you're excused. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Still don't know what what we're listening to.
Are there any other
No.
witnesses in regards to this?
I really
There
can't
are, Your Honor, we have
see
Detective
what,
O'Kelly. He's also present at the walkthrough.
Okay. Thanks, okay.
where we're going with this hearing, talking about him showing up to an interview, and then we're talking about if he was under the influence of something. But if he has chronic pain, he's probably used to being on medication. I know as a person who suffers from chronic pain that
Testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth,
you get a
the whole
kind of
truth,
resistance to
Thank you. Please be seated.
the drugs. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I thought we could see some kind of
It's Dean, DEAN.
Defense lined
O'Kelly,
up.
O''Kelley.
Maybe.
Sir, how were you employed back in May of 2008?
With the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Homicide Section.
How long in total did you work for Metro?
20 years, 10 months, but then I'm back also as a cold case
That's why he's
investigator
Okay.
since 2015.
But back in 08, you were assigned to homicide.
That's correct.
Were you one of the detectives that responded
Yeah.
to Rancho
But,
Santa Fe?
I get
to
paid for it in
investigate
Denmark.
the
They,
murder
they
of
don't do
Sharon
that in the
Randolph
US.
And Michael Miller?
I
You
was.
don't get paid.
When you got to that
They
scene
get
on the
nothing,
8th, what were your
like-
responsibilities?
How much is it?
We gathered together
it's
with the
peanuts
senior crime scene analysts that were on
for-
scene. The other
It's not a
detectives.
day's wager.
There were a couple of patrolmen
get-
that were there as well that got the initial information.
Roughly
and
90
we
bucks
briefed
or
what we
something
had
for
at
a
that
day
point.
Okay.
in Denmark.
During your time at the
Jeez.
scene on the
Before
8th,
taxes.
did you see Mr. Randolph at all?
I did not.
He's sitting there in
Do you see
a
Mr. Randolph
wheelchair.
in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Could you point to him and describe?
You
what
get
he's
paid,
wearing?
but
He's
not
wearing a
really.
dark blue shirt and he has
You can.
headphones on.
No.
It's not
looking down
like a
right at
Like
day's
your
wage.
wage.
Your Honor, Your
think
Honor,
it's
may the record reflect
some-
the witness
some-
has identified
Something
him.
like 15 or 20 bucks for
And sir, if
something, and
I,
you have to.
I think I talked over
Oh.
you a little bit. If I understand your
Dave
answer,
says
you did
15
not
bucks a
see
day
Mr.
in
Randolph
Oregon.
at the scene?
I did not.
Did you,
Ridiculous.
And then you have to
the
pay gas
entirety of
and
the, sort of the
and
8th
food
through the
maybe.
9th, did you interact with him
then
at all?
then you go
No, I did
home.
not.
You're paying
You're
to
aware,
do
of course,
jury
at this
duty.
point that in the early mornings of, early
Jesus.
morning of May 9th, he participated in an interview with homicide detectives.
Yes, that's correct.
And that was Detective Mogg and Detective Hardy.
Yes.
You weren't present at that.
No, I was not.
Yeah, and
At
parking.
some point,
It's-
after that interview,
It's stupid.
was there discussion amongst detectives to see if Mr. Randolph would do a walkthrough, sort of
Did he then?
reenacting what happened from his perspective on the night of the 8th?
Yes, there was.
And was that arranged by yourself or by another detective?
Myself and my partner, Detective Wilson, who was on vacation at the time on the 8th, he was back. And we talked together about the possibility of doing the walkthrough video.
Who was the person that contacted Mr. Randolph to see if he would agree
As we're not
to
being
do
told
a
what it's about,
walkthrough?
Does it
We-
seem like
we
they want to
approached,
throw out the
Detective Mogg to do
walkthrough
that because he'd
videos?
already established a rapport with Mr.
I don't
Randolph
even know.
on the night of the 8th and into the
I
morning.
Yeah, I'm just confused.
So that's
I don't think
arranged
so.
and yourself and other detectives go to the Rancho Santa Fe address on the 15th?
Yes, we did. It was a week later to the day and at right around the same time that the event took place.
Okay. To the best of your recollection, who was there from homicide that night?
Well, my partner, Rob Wilson, was back, so he was there. Rocky
Thanks,
Albee,
Jamie.
my sergeant, who's since passed
I
away.
found it.
There was Don Bell from the video crew.
You're the best,
and,
Jamie.
Detective Mogg.
Okay, so yourself,
Exclude jailhouse phone
Rob
calls
Wilson,
and state's
Detective
motion
Mogg,
to
and
include
Rocky
the
Albee,
prior
those
back.
were the
Okay.
four from homicide?
Correct.
That
And
makes
then Don
sense.
Bell, the videographer.
Yeah,
Okay, the
I'm just
videographer,
gonna cover it
was he
and put it
connected to
into the-
homicide at all?
Not at all.
the
Okay.
thingy thing.
Did you guys, to your
Although
recollection,
him being on
arrive
his knees
ahead of
still
Mr.
doesn't make
Randolph?
sense.
We
but-
did.
And
No.
at some point, obviously, you see Mr. Randolph
What?
arrive?
That's correct, with his brother, Joe.
Okay.
Jamie has the
When
documents.
they arrive, who was the person that went up and greeted them?
Detective Mogg.
At some point, do you recall if you were
I agree with the
introduced
ace.
to Mr.
I want to
Randolph
object
and/or his
to
brother?
how she's dressed.
Yes, we were Detective
Also,
Mogg
look behind Sal.
introduced each of the
Look
people
behind
that
us,
were
Al. What do you
there.
think?
And
Oh,
as I
she's a
recall,
little.
Mr.
She's
Randolph
kind of
introduced
redhead.
his brother
Sal
Joe
is
to the
all
rest of us.
Yeah.
redheads.
After that introduction, do you recall where Mr. Randolph's brother went?
He went into the backyard of the residence, accompanied by Sergeant Albee.
Okay.
Okay.
Were you present when Detective Mogg started the recording of the video with Mr. Randolph?
Yes, myself and Detective Mogg and Detective Wilson were present when that occurred.
Okay. Do you recall Mr. Randolph ever requesting that the walkthrough be delayed?
No,
Do you recall him saying, hey, look, I've taken a bunch of medication, I really don't think I can do this?
No.
Do you recall him saying, I just don't want to do this at all, anything like that?
no.
The video is recorded in 4 segments, and I assume the tape had to be changed because it was older technology back then?
The tape was changed at one point. There was an introduction to our presence there, why we were there. That was with Mr. Randolph. And then we went outside to where the vehicles were so he could demonstrate how the vehicle went into the garage.
Okay.
Once that portion was done where we had gotten into the garage, then it was stopped and we went into the hallway and it was resumed with the Detective Mogg talking with Mr. Randolph for the remainder of that tape.
Okay.
And then there was a change out of the tape. And then after that, then I speak with Mr. Randolph for the remainder of the video.
During the change out of the tape where there's no recording going on.
Yes, Mom.
Did Mr. Randolph request to stop the walkthrough?
No.
Did he say, I want to delay this?
No.
Did he say, I'm on too much medication, so I can't participate in this?
No.
You said that from that tape change onward is when you're the one interacting with Mr. Randolph.
Yes,
Other than the introduction that we spoke about when he and his brother arrived, was that the first time that you spoke to Mr. Randolph?
yes,
You didn't speak to him on the phone any time between the 8th or 9th and the 15th?
no, I've never spoken to Mr. Randolph on the phone.
Okay, so when you kind of start on the video walkthrough, that's your kind of more meaningful first discussion with Mr. Randolph?
That's correct. It's like we would normally do in an interview, a standard interview. One detective would take the lead, and then once you get to a certain point, it gets kind of turned over to the other detective.
Okay, and then you kind of speak with him until the end of the walkthrough?
That's
Chocolate
correct, all the way
chips.
until the tape shuts off.
Okay, the tape obviously shuts off at some point?
Yes, it does. Right as I'm explaining to Mr. Randolph that we want to gather some more evidence in the house prior to him signing the second consent to search card.
Did he sign that?
Yes, he did.
Okay, and then at some point, this kind of gets shut down for the night and yourself and Mr. Randolph and his brother leave?
Yes,
Did you have any conversation with Mr. Randolph and the brother prior to them leaving?
I don't know that Joe was standing there when I spoke to Mr. Randolph, but yes, after right before we left, I told Mr. Randolph that there were issues with what we had found at the scene versus what he had told us, and that oftentimes clarification can be done through a follow-up interview or even a polygraph examination. Mr. Randolph explained to us that he would be going to Utah for a couple of weeks, 2 weeks is what he said. And then he anticipated coming back on June 5th, as I recall. He must have come back a couple of days early because we did do a subsequent interview with him on June 3rd.
Did you tell him he was required to do that second interview on June 3rd? I guess it's really the third interview though at this point.
No,
Did he, on that June 3rd interview, did he call you guys to let you know, hey, I'm back early?
I know there was, yes, there was some phone conversation between him and Detective Mogg to arrange for him to come in. All the contacts were with between Detective Mogg and Mr. Randolph because they had developed a relationship, even to the point in that second interview that Mr. Randolph calls Detective Mogg like his best friend.
Right. So then the June 3rd interview happens, and after that, Mr. Randolph leaves the interview, and he's not arrested for weeks and weeks later.
That's correct. Months.
Yeah, probably. So at any point did you, with regard to the walkthrough, so now I'm talking about the time period between like the 8th, 9th, and the 15th, did you ever call Mr. Randolph and say, if you don't participate in the walkthrough, you'll be arrested?
No.
Did you ever tell him, if you don't participate in the walkthrough, you'll be arrested as a material witness?
You two are bad.
With regard to you having that conversation with him at the end of the walkthrough, where you say, look, there's some issues, we could maybe do a polygraph or have a subsequent
She's Can
interview.
Jamie call you?
Did you tell him, look, if you don't do those two things, you'll be arrested, or you have to do those two things, or you'll be arrested?
No, not at all. We were maintaining that level of cooperative, exchange between Mr. Randolph and, again, the spokesperson for homicide was Detective Mogg. And, we wanted him to, to continue to participate
But
voluntarily.
what does this has to do
And
with
he-
jailhouse
again,
phone
He leaves
calls?
the walkthrough
and
and
prior
he
bad
leaves
acts?
the June 3rd interview
don't know.
on his
No
own
idea.
accord because he's not arrested.
That's correct.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
Wait, Detective.
Good morning, Counselor.
Your testimony is that you never spoke to Thomas Randolph until the 15th. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And the first time you spoke to him is when he showed up at the Rancho Santa Fe address in order to conduct this video recorded walkthrough.
Yes.
Okay. Prior to him showing up at let me ask you this question. What time did he arrive at Rancho Santa Fe?
I know we got there at 8 o'clock and it was maybe 15, 20 minutes after we had been there before he arrived. I'm not sure the exact time.
Okay. Were you present with Detective Mogg in the time period leading up to 8 o'clock?
Yes.
Did you arrive at the Rancho Santa Fe address in the same vehicle?
No.
Were you present with Detective Mogg when he spoke to Thomas Randolph on the telephone?
I don't recall if I heard any exchange with him on the phone with Detective Mogg, but I know he's the only one that had contact with him.
Would you agree with me that you have no meaningful information to provide about what Detective Mogg and Thomas Randolph spoke about on the telephone?
I agree with that.
Okay. What you do have meaningful testimony to provide is about after Thomas Randolph arrived.
Correct.
Do you remember when he arrived?
Again, I'd say probably, 15, 20 minutes after we had arrived. I believe that we were able to start on time with when we anticipated the actual event took place. So it would be a week following at the same time so that the ambient light would be the same.
Okay. And if my question wasn't clear, I wasn't asking for a time frame he arrived. I'm asking if you remember the moment in which he arrived.
I remember when he got there, yes, with his brother.
Okay. Was his brother driving?
Yes.
Do you know why his brother was driving?
I have no idea.
His brother doesn't live in Las Vegas, right?
I believe he lives in Clearfield, Utah.
Presumably the person that lives in Las Vegas would be more familiar with the area, right?
Certainly. With his own house, yes.
Okay. And you'd agree with me, his brother drove him there.
Yes.
Is it your testimony you don't recall his brother telling yourself and other detectives that Mr. Randolph was impaired?
No, other than the introduction to Joe Randolph, I didn't speak to him at all.
Okay. Do you recall Mr. Randolph telling you that he had taken prescription medication?
No.
You were the detective responsible for the scene investigation immediately following the homicides on the evening of the 8th of May.
That's correct.
And as such, you were familiar with what was contained within the scene.
Yes,
And that included photographs that were taken.
yes,
And you actually physically saw a large amount of prescription opioid medication prescribed to Mr. Randolph, right?
I did. I saw patches, pain patches, and suppositories in the headboard in Mr. Randolph's master bedroom.
You were aware that he was prescribed prescription opioid medication, right?
At least those. I mean, his name was on the box.
Okay. And you're aware that one of the side effects of that type of medication is that it can affect verbal and motor skills, right?
Certainly.
Certainly people are warned not to drive a vehicle, for instance, right?
Yes,
And you're aware that sometimes taking an opioid type medication can impact ability to recall, right?
I don't know specifically on memory. I mean, I imagine that could be true, but I wouldn't know.
It can impact your ability to perceive things.
I'd expect that that's true, but again, I don't know. I've never taken any prescription medication.
Certainly you've heard that, right?
Certainly.
And you're aware that can impact your ability to move, to function.
I'd expect so, yes.
Okay. Prior to the start of the walkthrough interview, did you ask Mr. Randolph if he was under the influence?
No,
Would you agree with me that should be something you're concerned about if you're going to do a walkthrough video where you're asking someone to reenact important events?
had I observed anything that I thought brought that into question, then I would have asked that question. I didn't see that.
Okay. It's your testimony. You didn't see, for instance, Mr. Randolph having droopy eyes.
I did, and not that he's able to testify to it, but I remember looking at Sergeant Albee when Don Bell put the camera up on his shoulder. That was the first time that Mr. Randolph, and only time that Mr. Randolph exhibited that trait of the droopy eyes.
Okay.
It went away immediately after he was done with that portion of the video.
You would agree with me that he exhibited some slurred speech as well.
He did during that portion, and that was it.
Okay. So if I were to play for you the walkthrough of the video, you don't in any way dispute the fact that visibly there is indicia of droopy eyes and slurred speech.
At that particular moment when the camera was put on Don Bell's shoulder, yes.
Okay. And that's when the walkthrough started, right?
Yes, prior to going outside, yes.
Okay. Do you remember what time the walkthrough actually commenced?
I don't. I mean, it'd be right around 8:30, 8:35 p.m.
Okay. Your goal was to have Mr. Randolph arrive around the same time as you, right?
Correct.
You didn't want to start videotaping until approximately 8:30, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
You would agree with me he arrived a few minutes after 8:03, ballpark.
Yes.
Okay. So there's approximately 25-ish minutes between when he arrives till the tape starts rolling, right?
I'd agree with
To the
that.
D.
You'd agree with me that during that time you had a conversation with Mr. Randolph.
I did not.
You had no conversation with Mr. Randolph between the time he arrived until the video started.
None whatsoever.
He
Detective
said
Moss
something
was the
about
only
to the
one that
D.
communicated with Mr.
So I was like,
Where did that communication take place?
Well, we met him outside, and then we went into the house. So both outside the house and inside the house.
Was
then
there a conversation that took place in the garage?
At some point, yes, because we had Mr. Randolph demonstrate how he pulled into the garage with the Tucson, Hyundai Tucson.
Backing up, prior to the video rolling, was there a conversation that took place in the garage?
I don't remember if we talked in the garage or I believe we talked out front and in the house.
Okay. And when you say we, you're not including yourself in that we.
Right. I mean, I was there, I was present, but Detective Mogg spoke with Mr. Randolph the entire time.
Okay. Is it your testimony that Mr. Randolph's brother did not indicate that he shouldn't engage in the walkthrough that evening because of his impairment?
I had no conversation with his brother, and I didn't hear him convey that to anyone present.
Was there any conversation or concern amongst yourself, Detective Mogg, and Sergeant Albee about his impairment?
No.
yeah, this makes more sense now.
Well, during the walkthrough, and there's
I
already
really
been some
don't get
testimony
where
about
we're
this,
going.
what we received
Maybe
So-
this is
four
part of the
separate,
bad app.
approximately
Yes, I think this is the part where he's admitted to something or done something in the walkthrough that they now want out, and they're trying to say, well, he's inebriated. He was drugged up essentially, so he wasn't thinking straight. He was slurring his words. So how can you say what he said was spot on? So that's how I take it. That, as Jamie said, this is a bad act. So they want this out because he was impaired.
Yeah, but this is prior bad acts, so he should have admitted to unaliving one of the 4 previous wives. It doesn't
Maybe.
seem. Why didn't they then bring charges against those cases? I really. Maybe Jamie lied to us. Maybe it's not even what it's about. But it
That-
just seems weird.
That's what Court TV was reporting, and that's what the motions were.
Yeah, but we haven't talked about any prior bad acts or any phone calls from the jail right now. Maybe he talked about this walkthrough. I lied all the way through the walkthrough or something. I'm not sure.
Well,
Yeah.
like
I don't think they-
there was a
Go
whole
on.
dateline, I guess, from what I was reading, about it when we were boning up on it. There's a whole dateline.
Boning ladies.
Yeah, there's a whole
I know.
dateline thing, like documentary about him and stuff, and like that's kind of what they said they based their whole case off of, was this
Yeah,
documentary.
but that's what's been thrown out. This is why we have the retrial. Is because they focused on
The
the
bad act,
first.
they want to get them in. They want to get some in. So maybe this is stuff they threw out and they want to get in the little pieces. Maybe they want the walkthrough in. Maybe it was thrown out. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
But what I saw, because I've been boning too, and what I saw was the reason we are back here today is because they talked a lot about the case with the first wife.
Yeah.
And you can't put that in. So if they're trying again to put that in, and over on Lawn and Crim, they said this judge would be very hard to get it in.
I don't know.
Selbert. Wow.
Like
But
maybe he talked about things during this interview or something that they want to keep out.
Yeah, but if it's about the first murder, then they should reopen that case. I don't know. I'm a student of the Darrell Brooks Law School and stuff, so
I don't know either.
yeah, we don't know.
15-minute clips. Is that your memory of how that walkthrough is presented?
Memorex.
Correct.
This
You would
is
agree with me
kind of
that
live.
between
We
each
are
of those
only a
four,
bit
there's
behind.
break in the
5
tape.
minutes behind.
Yeah.
And
No,
Twisted isn't here.
That it was converted from VHS to digital, and I think that's the format that it ended
Oh.
up taking because of the volume,
Nicholas
the
sent you-
specific volume of that digital recording,
Yep.
and that's how it broke up. But Don Bell
Thank you, Nicholas.
recorded everything on 2 separate
Did
VHS
your case
tapes.
ever start?
Okay. So is it your testimony? There's only one break in the actual VHS recording.
That's
A
correct.
kind of real
Do those
Viking,
originals
a
still
Norwegian.
exist?
I don't know. I haven't seen them. We never
Did you
had a
read-
VHS tape in the case file. We have the digital.
Were they immediately converted to digital?
I'd imagine. I mean, again, I never had a VHS tape in our case file.
Again,
How long was the break that took place between the changing of
Good
the
Lord,
first tape
like
into the
45
recording of the
minutes
second tape?
since I left.
As long as it took Mr.
Yeah, we've been
Bell to
streaming
pop
for an
out
hour
one
and
tape
14
put in
minutes.
the other, and then Mr. Randolph was in the hallway with me, and I spoke for the remainder of the walkthrough.
welcome all of the Viking raiders, and I really don't hope Brandon is right that Nick is too drunk to breathe. Mo,
Hello.
is Nick too drunk to breathe?
Well, he informed me that he's going to sleep. I'm hoping that he is going to eat something before he goes to sleep.
Did Brandon get to him?
Yes, I believe Brandon did get to him.
Brandon, you are a naughty boy. I love you, but you're naughty.
I don't think he feels any sort of bad for himself. And to his credit, Brandon was the good one today. We had some somewhat naughties in the chat, so
Yeah, but
he was actually the good one, which was odd for Brandon. I don't think he felt comfortable. He's like, I'm supposed to be the bad boy.
So he had to turn it up. Cindy Lou Woohoo, or whatever it is. I'm probably doing it better than Dave. Batman. Okay. But hey everyone, this is a hearing in the case
Who
with
is discount Mads Mikkelsen over here? Because yummy. I mean, I'm sorry. Who is this prestigious lawyer that I'm supposed to be listening to?
Yeah, this is the Thomas Randolph case. It's known as the Black Widower case. He had 6 wives. 2 of them are still alive. 2 of them, they claim he helped get off the earth. 1 died of cancer, and I really don't. But everything is kind of suspicious with this guy. They're having a hearing today because they want to keep out prior bad acts. He's formally been giving the DP, not the fun DP, but the one that ends you. And yeah, I can't say that.
Look,
know
I
who-
have not only have I had been in close contact with my mother, who is very disappointed I don't have a real job. She's like, I'm confused. What is it you do all day? She's like, so you do what on the internet all day? And I was like, I watch trials, and
Yeah.
well, chat devolves into, peen and boob talk, but we pretend to be. She's like, I understand, but you're gonna get a real job, right?
Yeah.
And I was
But
like,
didn't you tell her when the Sarah Boone case gets going, you're going to be a millionaire?
I did try to explain that, and she's like, you're not showing your boobs online, are you? On that OnlyFans thing. And I was like, no, Mom, I'm not showing my boob. I'm not showing my boobs, Mom. I'm covering trials, but thanks.
Yeah, but again, they want to keep out prior bad acts. He got the DP, but that was tossed out because they brought up his first case. The case where he allegedly helped his first wife get off the planet, and he was not convicted in that. So they used it again in this case. This is his 6th wife, and that's why we are back here. And now we are not really sure what this hearing is about. They say it's about prior bad acts and some jailhouse telephone calls, but we haven't heard anything about any of those. So they're talking a lot about medications and a walkthrough of the home. Mo, do you know Dylan?
Yes, I think we've sort of crossed paths a couple times on chat, or sort of.
As in
She's been in
ghostbusting.
my DMs a few times. Just slid in a few times.
Oh,
Fair play
Lord.
to her.
Yeah.
This has been the day of just.
Oh my.
It's been a Monday, y'all. It has been a Monday.
Yeah, but that's yeah. Well, it's the fun kind of courtroom. Yeah, the problem was you didn't show enough boobs.
Well, I think she was trying to figure out how she was going to do that Christmas card, like my one brother's getting back from specialized military training. My other brother's, finishing up his advanced training. My sister's getting ready to graduate college. And this is my daughter who breeds a lot and apparently shows her boobs online.
Do you mean figures or? Because I like the X-Men 97. Yeah, but to everyone who hasn't met Dylan before, he is over on the channel, The Alternate Corner. I bet you can get a link in just 2 seconds because Jung Min has really been fast with the links today because she didn't win the best mod of the year award. So, but we'll jump back to this and to the people who've been following the Adam Montgomery trial on this channel before. I'll do the sentencing tomorrow because this is going to take forever. No, this could be his 25th lawyer. He went through 24 lawyers before this hearing. So yeah. Thank you, Jung Min. You're an angel. No, you're a muffin top.
MD law possibly, but we're not pulling that up. But
Best muffin
Yeah.
top of the year. Best muffin top. Yeah, that's what it means.
Okay. Was it pre-designed that you would take over the walkthrough at the change of tape?
I think it was a convenient point in time for me then to take over because I had observed what Mr. Randolph was talking about with Detective Mogg that entire time, taking notes myself of questions that I wanted to ask Mr. Randolph. And at that point in time that we changed the tape, that was a perfect opportunity for me then to take over and tell the remainder of the tape.
Did you discuss that with Detective Mogg prior to that transition happening?
No.
It just naturally occurred.
Correct.
And you can't tell us how long the tape wasn't running.
Again, it's going to be the amount of time that it took for one tape to come out and the other one to go in. It was a very short period of time.
Okay.
A couple of minutes at the most.
Couple meaning 2?
I would say 2.
Could it have been 3?
I mean, I
Could have
guess
been
it's possible.
20.
But I'd imagine that Mr. Bell is pretty proficient at changing tapes in his camcorder. He's done it for several years.
Could have been 1 minute?
It's possible. I didn't time it.
Possible it could have been 3?
It's possible that it could have been 3.
Okay. And as you sit here today, you don't have the ability to recall the exact amount of time.
No, I remember him changing the tapes and then we went right back to it.
You'd agree with me that unless someone's running a stopwatch or recording,
I did
it,
laps
it's
today
almost
too.
impossible to remember the exact amount of time, right?
That's correct.
Okay. What time did the video walkthrough end? The actual recorded portion?
You know, the best judge for that would be the signature and the timestamp on the consent to search card, because that's what we were addressing right at the end of the video, but it doesn't have a timestamp on it. I know it's approximately 58 minutes long.
Okay. After the conclusion of the recording, when you did the consent to search card, you didn't immediately leave, right?
No, we did not.
In fact, you continued to have conversation with Mr. Randolph.
No, I was done speaking with Mr. Randolph until we were getting ready to leave. I spoke with him. We were dealing with a crime scene analyst was able to respond out to the scene that we had requested, things that we had observed while we were there that we
It's
wanted
actually
to
more
document.
than one crime scene analyst, right?
Correct.
How many?
2.
Okay. Who was it?
We had Randy McPhail was there. He's the only one that I was dealing with. I can't recall who else responded.
Mike Perkins?
Yes, the senior crime scene analyst, the supervisor, yes.
Okay. And they actually impounded physical evidence, right?
Yes, they did.
Physical evidence that was discovered by Sergeant Albee.
Correct.
Physical evidence that you missed when you walked the scene.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm not
You
monetized,
agree
and I
with
got
me
hit
that
once by
after
a
the
Brandon
tape
train,
stopped,
so
there is some
it
point
happens
in
to all of
time
them.
You are having a direct conversation with Mr. Randolph.
Yes, shortly.
Thank you for
before
Far
noticing.
away are you?
concluded everything that we were doing.
How many
with
hours
the
you got
crime
left?
scene analyst and we were departing.
Who? What? When?
In
Me?
that conversation,
Not
How many
hours.
hours do you need?
you had
I need subscribers.
yourself
I have
developed
500,
5,000
a
hours.
belief that
So-
maybe his story wasn't
I stream too
what
much,
happened in your
but
view.
nobody watches me and
There were
subscribes to me.
inconsistencies with
Everyone
the
should go
initial
subscribe
statement that he gave
at
us
the ultimate
and
corner and
in
follow
the video
Dylan.
walkthrough
Thank
when
you,
compared to the actual evidence. And there were definitely things that we questioned and
Oh, you're close.
and
You're close.
to attempt to
32
clarify
away.
those things, I let
No,
Mr. Randolph know that
I'm on the 1,000,
doing a
4,000.
follow-up interview or a polygraph would
Oh,
be helpful.
no.
Yeah.
You had at that point in time developed a gut feeling about Mr. Randolph, right?
Again, there were
It's only
things
the
about
Americans,
scene
South
that
Koreans,
weren't consistent with
Malaysians,
what he
and
said. So I definitely was looking at Mr. Randolph.
Aussies, maybe,
Not what I asked you.
who's on
You agree with me that
the
you developed a gut feeling
500,
about Mr.
3,000.
Randolph at that time.
I'm gonna object.
Did.
I think
Thank you,
that's-
Tweety.
He's answered it
Yeah,
in a different
did.
way. I'm not sure what Mr.
Yeah.
Tomcat means by gut feeling.
Well, Mr. O'Kelly knows because he's previously said it.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and overrule the objection at this point. He can answer the question.
You would agree with me that you have previously said that you
Hey,
developed
Gigi,
a feeling in your gut about Mr. Randolph, right?
Yes, but it was based on
You
what I
weren't there.
observed in his statements compared to what he said in the walkthrough video and what we had at the scene.
So at the conclusion of the walkthrough
What
video,
do
you'd already
W-
reviewed the statement that he made to detectives
I
Mogg and
have to
Cardian
link it to my
59, right?
Yes,
Google
And then
account.
you watched the walkthrough, right?
correct.
And at that point in time, you had a gut feeling about him, right?
I had,
Thank
it's
you.
accurate to
Yeah.
say gut feeling, but it's not based on my gut. It was based on what he had told us versus the scene, both in his original statement, what he did in the walkthrough, and what the evidence that we had at the scene.
And you'd agree with me, you've previously described that as a gut feeling.
Yes.
Sometimes
Okay.
the chat just takes over. I can't follow along.
That gut feeling was that Mr. Randolph was involved, right?
Why?
At that point, yes, I believe that it was very possible that he was involved. Again, we needed to clarify by having him come back and clear up some of those questions.
Okay. So the answer to my question is a yes.
Yes.
Okay. When you communicated with him at the conclusion of the walkthrough, that was with that gut feeling in mind, right?
I don't think that's accurate to say. I mean, we were wrapping things up and we were leaving, and I let Mr. Randolph know that we wanted him to come back in for a subsequent interview and potentially a polygraph to clarify or to clear up some of the issues that we have at the scene. It was a natural departing the scene and ending conversation with Mr. Randolph.
I did
I don't
a
want to
baking
say
show.
anything inaccurate.
It was
You
on
agree with me
a Friday
that
while
you
Dave
referenced
was
to
covering a
Mr.
trial.
Randolph
I was
that you had problems
baking
with his description
pizza
of the evidence.
buns and sausage rolls.
And you told him during that conversation.
But I have to figure
that
out
he
how
would
to
need
set
speak
my
to you further, right?
equipment up so I can
told him that
stream
to
some baking.
clarify, it would be a subsequent interview and potentially a polygraph. I didn't tell him that he had to do that to clarify it. I was letting him know that we had issues with the scene, is what I told him, and that we can clarify.
I think
by
that's
having him come
kinda-
back for an interview
kinda
and potentially
broad,
a
isn't it?
polygraph examination, to which he responded that he was going to.
You just wanted me thrown off YouTube.
Do you recall in that conversation telling him that if he didn't continue to communicate with you by doing a polygraph or a subsequent interview, that he would be taken into custody?
No.
Do you know how hard it
You
is
don't
to make
recall that?
No, I
wienable?
did not say that.
I have to roll it a lot.
Did you ever
And
tell
I
him
don't have
to
a
turn around
rolling
and put his
table.
hands behind his back?
I did not.
Did you ever use the term material witness? with him?
No.
Court's briefing note.
So we go from this guy to that woman with a horrible, horrible
Yeah,
cardigan.
that polka dot pink thing, that's not. Why take that? The
What?
clerk on the desk is more appropriately dressed for court than
Yeah.
she is.
At the time you did the walkthrough,
But she
on the
sells.
15th
She
of May,
sells. We can't
Yeah.
were the
speak
Sells-
for her.
crime
sells at
scene
dips.
markers, like the directionality arrows and the placards, still present in the crime scene?
No, it was actually after we were done with the walkthrough video. That's part of what Randy McPhail responded to the house to do. It was accomplished after the interview.
Okay. Was Randy McPhail still there when you left?
When we were all wrapping up, yes, Randy McPhail was. We were all leaving together. Everything was done, and he may have gotten in his car a minute before we were done, but Randy McPhail was right there up to the end.
Okay.
Yeah, she
So
is
your
kind of like
testimony, the
a
tape
Wednesday.
stops,
Yeah.
There's a brief pause, a conversation with Mr. Randolph, and then everyone leaves at the same time.
No, as the tape is ceasing, you can hear that I'm explaining to Mr. Randolph that we have some marks that are on the wall that are clearer now, and that we wanted to then have a crime scene analyst come out, and the tape has stopped. So the only conversation that I had with Mr. Randolph at that point was to finish explaining to him that we were looking to mark those items on the wall, and we filled out the consent to search card, and there were we knew at that point in time 2 shell casings from the Makarov 9mm that Mr. Randolph used to shoot Mr. Miller, that those 2 were outstanding. So that was completed on the consent to search card. Mr. Randolph signed the card, and that's the last I had a conversation with him until we were just about to leave.
Okay. How much time transpired between the signing of that card until you left?
I'm not sure. I
Was
mean,
it-
it could have been, it was probably an hour and a half, I'd say at least. I don't know.
That was my question. It was an extensive period of time.
Right, Randy McPhail had to respond.
No, I don't have a pizza oven. If you want to make a crust, put a pizza stone or just any stone into the oven, make it insanely hot, run it all the way up, and when you put the pizza in, then you turn it down, because the thing about a pizza oven is you have the stone in the bottom that give this instant crust because it's so hot when you put the dough on it. So don't waste your money on a pizza oven. I have friends who have bought way too much merchandise for making 5 pizzas a year. So just buy a pizza stone or baking stone, whatever it's called. Make sure it's stone, not a metal one. Into the oven, turn the oven all the way up, heat it up, and then when you throw your pizza in, turn down the heat, and you'll get a really crispy crust. It's too late. Well, it happened before, but it won't happen today because it's 9 p.m. So
It is past his drunk point. Look, you had your chance at 7. That was the time where you could have gotten in there and gotten him drunk.
yeah, and Brandon, you can't catch up with well.
Respond out there. Mr. Perkins responded out to the house. We didn't have them
In theory,
standing
you can
by. That was
use a
something we
cobblestone. You can
observed
use
during the
pebbles that will
walkthrough, and it was
probably
things that we need to
explode in the oven.
document.
But
So it's their response time.
any
Then they
stone
got
can do.
they got their work done. It was pretty meticulous.
And you can
on
buy
the
a
part of
really,
Mr.
really
McPhail
expensive
with
one
all of the arrows.
saying Myers
And then
or
after
Made
that was
Blomsterberg.
completed and the 2 shell casings were recovered, then we wrapped
If you
it up
heat
and
it
we were
up,
done. So it's probably,
you kill all the
I mean, it was
germs.
a good hour and a
Then
half. I'd
just
say.
make sure to clean it
A
off
lot of
afterwards.
arrows put up
Oh, quite a few, yes.
and a lot of photographs taken
Correct.
and a number of pieces of evidence impounded,
I
Yes.
had that
including
effect
biological
on
samples.
That's correct.
some men.
Didn't happen in 5 minutes.
No, certainly not.
Mr. Randolph was there the whole time.
Hey, Pixie.
Yes, but I'm not,
Hello.
I don't recall where he was. He was with his brother Joe, if they'd gone out to the backyard, or I was with Randy McPhail, and I don't think that Perkins stayed the entire time.
And is it your testimony that in that 90 minutes when Randy McPhail was doing his duties at the scene, that you didn't have communication? with
Thank
Thomas
you.
Randolph during
I
that
did
time?
Thank
not
you
talk
for the
to Mr.
like.
Randolph, no.
God damn it.
What?
I didn't do not even one thing. I
For
swear.
football. Are they losing now, Baker?
If there was reference,
They lost
in
2-1.
file
watched-
in the Las
Well,
Vegas
America
Metropolitan
did you
Police
a favor,
Department,
and we
Randy
already killed
McPhail arrived
ourselves
at
in
9:16,
the tournament.
wouldn't
All of
proceed.
us, all the
But this-
women
this-
lost on
That
purpose.
could be accurate.
This is
I
the
mean,
important one. It's the Danish
If we
Premier
had
League,
made the phone call to
not
him
the slow female
prior
sport.
to
Oh, well,
completing the video,
I mean,
and that's
but
possible that, you
we
know,
on
'cause I know
purpose did it in
where you could see
protest,
the material on the walls, it had,
allegedly. I don't know.
become much more clear.
Yeah, she
And
hit
so
it
it's
too
possible
cleanly,
that
I
we
heard.
called for him to come out while we were doing the walkthrough video. So his en route time could definitely have.
The
that could be
tens of
very
people that watch American
Well, we're
female
holding to
soccer.
as an estimate, but saying
all
it's
listened.
approximately 90 minutes, we're talking 90 minutes from his arrival time.
From,
That's
I
okay,
would say
Captain.
from the completion of the walkthrough video so that he could be about his work. I mean, we're in his way at that point in time until we were done with the walkthrough video.
All right. If he was there 90 minutes, you'd agree with me that time wouldn't start till he arrived.
Correct.
So if he arrived at 9:16, we're talking 90 minutes past that.
I would say though, to be more accurate.
Hello.
Because I would say
Just
he
don't-
did about 90 minutes worth of
don't
work
ginger.
while he was on scene.
Is
there any
It
other
didn't
kind of
start
ginger?
Until we were done with the walkthrough video. So he had to have been standing by if he got there.
There
at
are those of
9:16,
us
he
that
had to
are
have been standing
fake.
by waiting for us to be done.
Yeah.
before
Oh,
he
and the
could
Danish
like
ladies
And that has
lost
to be
2
after
2-0
Mr. Randolph signed
2-0
the consent
to
search.
Australia today.
Nothing.
I didn't watch it.
Here we go.
Did you say that
What
after
in the
walkthrough, then
actual
Mr. Randolph signed the
cat lady
consent
is
to the
that?
search part?
She's the
know.
one at the
Yes, I believe that's when we had it done. I was
Homeowners
explaining to
association
him that we
meeting,
needed
always
to gather
saying,
this
"But
other information and. the
one
walkthrough,
final
when
question,
the
and then you know
consensus
the
search
meeting
card
is
was
going to last
completed,
2 hours
he
longer.
signed it.
Okay, so he agreed to do that
Do they
after
have brushes?
participating in the walkthrough.
Yes.
And Mr. Tomchek asked you about
How
how
about the
Mr.
polka
Randolph
dots?
arrived and that his brother was driving the car. Do you recall that?
It looks
Yes.
like when
What was
Vince
the first thing
McMahon
he
made
had him
fun
do
of
in
Dusty
the
Rhodes and
walkthrough?
put him in polka dots when he
He
returned
did
to
the
WWE.
introduction to
That's-
why we
Amy,
were
you're
there.
too young for that
He
reference.
was asked to say
No,
his
it
name, his
just-
address, date of birth,
it's-
whatever.
Mhm.
Detective Mogg is
She's
the
like,
one
I'm
who's
gonna be
asking him
fun
those
and
things.
flirty.
He responds to it, so that's
No.
the introduction. And then the first
Yeah,
thing that
it's
we
it's
asked him to
definitely like
physically
her
do
cats are at
was
home
to show
peeing in her
how,
favorite other
he was able to
moccasins.
pull
Yeah.
the Hyundai
Oh,
Tucson
the ginger behind
into
is
the
really
garage
nice as
with
well, I
the
think.
Pontiac G6 there.
Oh God,
he
I can
was the
see her in
driver
the
then,
line in the
presumably,
DMV.
right?
Yes, he was.
So you took him out to the front of the house and had
You
him
and Sal
show
got a
I
fight
how
said
over that
he
ginger.
drove
Captain,
and
have fun.
approached
I said the
the
tens
house
of
with him
people that
driving
could
and
go up to
describing how he
48.
dropped
So there
Sharon Randolph
were
off and that
dozens
sort of thing,
included
correct?
in that Venn
Yes,
diagram of
although he
tens.
perceived that the Pontiac was in a different place. It was closer to the west side of the garage where the Hyundai Tucson goes. So he wasn't able to pull in and actually get out of the vehicle. We backed it out. It was very, very
Thank
tight
you
for
so
him to
much.
do that.
But he was
Yeah,
able to
we
drive
will
the car.
definitely look
Yes.
into
And he
those.
was able to park it.
I
And
try
he
to
didn't
look up
do
all the
anything
things,
that
but
suggested to
sometimes
that
it
it'd be dangerous for him to drive
the
car.
algorithm gives
No.
us
Nothing
some
like
strange.
swerving around or
I think
not
it's
tightening the
who's
pedals
watched
or
most
going
or
too
something.
fast or
So
anything like
we have
that.
to
Not at all.
He
rummage
was
around.
able to drive it and drive it normally.
Correct.
I'm actually going to do a stream on that this week, I think.
And
So
he, in the video, it shows him
I'll
pulling
read.
in and being able to
Yeah,
park the car
I,
in the narrow garage.
Yes.
And so he was
That-
able to do that too.
Yes, he was.
Did you see the
Thank you.
hearing
I'll pass the witness.
where they talked about
yeah, you were
how,
covering.
how the defense just tear through all the evidence with the blunt force trauma that lacerated the arm? I'm not an English speaker, but I know what laceration mean and I know what blunt mean. So yeah.
And I know
Hey,
what
Farrell.
a cocktail glass looks like when it breaks, and what a dog bite looks like, and what road rash looks like. And some
Yeah,
of these
I've not
things
looked
do not
into
look.
it. Yeah, I saw a bit. You were streaming it, but I haven't deep dived. I've just actually been sent links to review it, so I will do that this week. I think.
Yep. Do that hearing and just watch the photo. And again, I made a drawing because this allegedly she backed in. You can't see this.
I can see it.
Yeah, she backed into him while he was standing outside with a cocktail glass in his hand, which lacerated his arm in a blunt force kind of way, and he died from an impact wound to the back of the head. I couldn't make
Okay.
that. I couldn't make
Oh
that
my
statement.
God.
Okay.
So
100% true story.
it's the truest of stories. It was Exhibit 100.
Jesus
I
Christ.
know.
Okay.
If we don't get if someone doesn't make a print of that,
I want it for my wall.
I want that to be one of the t-shirts. And then when my mom is embarrassed of what I do, I want that to be the card I give her for Mother's Day.
We could cite.
At least
Mo
I don't
said
do
she-
this on the internet. I mean,
Mo said she might be looking into that. Tomorrow I'll do the Adam Montgomery sentencing. Mo, are we covering this together? Because this is in Nevada and that's 9 hours.
I didn't know
We'll
if you
talk.
wanted to do. Yeah, if you want to do it, that's fine. I'm helping Nick, or I was helping Nick today. It'll depend on if Brandon plans to keep Nick drunk all the time. That kind of
That's the plan.
depends what I'm doing. I know I wanted to cover a lot of the Karen Reed. I have the William Zielinski sentencing, but if we want to cover some of the Karen Reed together, that's fine. If we want to do some of this but break it up into smaller chunks and not stay as current on it to kind of keep on our schedule so we're not killing ourselves, that's fine too. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, but it's because this if it's 9 hours behind, it would be 7 o'clock my time when it starts. So I thought if we can do the spreadsheet, let's see how interesting Wednesday will be, and then we can.
Yeah.
Don't catch yet. We'll figure something out, and some of us will.
We will not leave
cover
you
something.
without. Yeah, we won't leave you without getting Picker's sub is important. So we can do Karen Reed hearings. We can do Karen Reed backstories and stuff. That's fine. And the algorithm seems to really like Daryl Brooks. If we have to do a cheap ploy to get Baker subs, we can do Daryl Brooks.
Or I can show some boobs.
I can show cleavage because as the non-biased, impartial, but self-important and grifting independent media of the Flux v. The State of the Internet trial of the century, I will be here reporting. So cleavage all over, just, to be tasteful. And report the internet fair and balanced.
Yeah, we'll figure something out, and between Dylan, Mo, and myself, you will get enough coverage. Maybe
something.
It's not, something will be.
There's
covered.
always furry conventions. I will go there, people. I will go there.
If nothing else, there's a furry dance off.
Oh Lord, it's a Zoom call.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right, you guys gonna call Rob Wilson? Detective Wilson, would you be so kind as to raise your right hand?
As long as it's not treated, because marble could suck in the fat and stuff like that, so it could discolor your board.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I'll eat all the subs.
Thank you. Will you please state and spell?
We just got a subway thing in Swindle.
Robert, R-O-B-E-R-T, W-I-L-S-O-N.
I was trying to explain to my mom the
Thank you.
fancy toast.
Wilson, are you
The blank
retired
stares
from
I got.
the Las Vegas Metropolitan
Fancy
Police
toast?
Department?
The rye bread with all of the boiled egg and the bacon. Yeah, I was trying to explain it to.
It's what you call a
one
smorgasbord
of
because
the
you got it from the
detectives
Swedes or
that
something.
was assigned to investigate murders with a defendant by the name of Thomas Randolph.
Yes.
Do you recall sometime
This is a
pre
thick
the first
pizza
trial
pan.
being asked to pick up a laptop or a laptop computer?
Yes.
Who was it that asked that you pick up the computer? Who contacted you?
Deputy District Attorney Robert Gaskis asked me to do that. I picked it up from the detention center. They had it in their possession.
Okay, so when you got the call from Robert Gaskis and then you responded to the detention center to actually pick up the
No
computer?
C-swept.
Yes.
Once you picked up the computer, did you open it or
It's
look at
almost
any
like
of the
I
contents?
used to be a baker.
No, I just impounded
The
it.
hint is in the name.
Okay, and so you impounded it in the Metro evidence vault?
Yes.
After impounding it, did you ever open it, look at the contents, do anything to examine the computer?
No, once I impounded it, I never saw that computer again.
Thank you, sir. I'll pass the witness.
What are we going to do with this hearing?
Can you hear me okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to see me?
I'm still not sure where we're going. Now we're talking
How are
about a
you?
computer that was put into an evidence log.
Good.
Goatee
How's
looks
it going?
goatee looks good on you. Not going to take too much of your time. Couple questions.
This lawyer uses
At the time
contour,
Mr.
changed my
Daskus
mind, and no
contacted you
straight
asked
man
you to
notices
come
a
impound
goatee.
the computer.
Yeah, no.
Did
I
he tell
thought
you
that as well.
why?
He just told me it was an order from Judge Miley.
Okay. You have an understanding that at some point in time, Judge Miley was the preceding judge over this case.
Yes,
And you were aware at the time you impounded that computer whose computer it was, correct?
yes,
You were aware that Judge Miley had issued an order previously allowing Mr. Randolph to utilize that computer in order to assist counsel with trial preparation, right?
I don't recall being aware of that.
Okay. You knew it was Mr. Randolph's computer, right?
Yes.
Reindeer, the chat has been flunky for the last couple of weeks. So
Yeah.
yeah, and now starting out with compliments to this. Yeah, I don't know. He dressed nice. Not that that means anything. So yeah, I do look kind of like Glenn Beck.
The time you impounded it, you had to put a Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department event number on it, correct?
Yes,
And so you put the event number associated with this case, right?
correct.
You knew it was associated with this case, right?
Yes,
When you retrieved the computer from the Clark County Detention Center, did you impound anything along with the computer?
It's done it all the time, 60%
there
of the
was a
time.
hard drive and some cables.
What about some discs?
No,
Do you know what happened to the discs that were with the computer at the time it was taken from Mr. Randolph?
Oh, this is the inches and inches of disc he talked about.
Do you know who in the detention center looked at that computer prior to you impounding it?
I'm gonna need an explanation on the inches of discs.
that computer.
Are we having a Jensen moment?
And that was Jensen moment.
In your
inches of disc.
work as a Las Vegas Metropolitan Police
I watched
Department
too much
detective, you're familiar with the
TV.
detention center, right?
Somewhat.
You've been there many times.
But he complained. Was it him who complained that he couldn't get? We saw a hearing on Stabby Day where he complained that he couldn't get in contact with his lawyers.
Yeah.
Because he had all the evidence, probably even evidence number 100. So
Times over the years, right?
Yes.
Do you remember who you spoke to at the detention center when you took receipt of the computer?
see you left.
I have it on my report. I don't remember it offhand.
Okay. Do you remember where within the facility you went?
Be right back.
They have an evidence area that they keep, and I believe that's where I went to collect the computer and the other items.
Did someone physically hand it to you?
Yes,
From the time the computer was taken from Mr. Randolph until it was given to you for impound, do you know who else had access to the computer?
no,
Do you know who reported to Mr. Daskus that that computer needed to be impounded?
no,
Do you know the reason for taking Mr. Randolph's computer and impounding it?
no,
Did you communicate about the impounding of that computer with Detective Dino Kelly?
I don't recall, but I'm sure I probably did. He was the lead detective on the case.
Did you ever have any communication with Judge Miley or Judge Miley's court staff about the impound of that computer?
Not that I recall.
I want to see what's on this computer.
I know.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
I mean, it must be a Jensen moment.
What kind of weird tentacle, Yeti weirdness, Loch Ness monster craziness does he have in there?
When you
Dunno.
went to the jail, were there any discs there?
Fingers crossed, dick pics.
Had there been any discs
And some
associated
boobs would
with
be
the
nice. Some
computer?
tits would be nice.
Would
as
you
well.
have taken those?
I want the
as
three-boobed
well
lady
and
from
impounded them
Total
along with the
Recall.
cable and that hard drive?
Oh, I don't know that one.
The really bad three boobs with
took what was there?
Arnold
Oh, I'm
Schwarzenegger.
with you. I'm with you.
And
Yeah, I'm
that's
with
what you
you.
impounded.
Yes.
Thank you.
Either that or close-ups of David Bowie and the cod piece and
Detective Wilson, thank you very much for
you
your
know,
testimony.
Labyrinth.
You are excused.
Thank you very much.
Oh, there's a good shot, Sal. If you're still here. Geez, she looks grumpy as fuck.
Yeah, she just Skeletor.
Yeah, I'm not like, and that guy's sleeping. He's had enough.
Well, her.
Is that guy sleeping? I think he is.
Yes.
Oh,
He's
there.
like, oh shit, am I here? Sorry.
Yeah, on camera, like, wake up.
I got to be honest, the guys coming in all suited and booted. They're looking good.
Yeah.
I don't like obviously swing that way, but I could appreciate good looking man.
Yeah. Well, and she looks like, crap, I have to wake up
Scrumpy.
today. Box
Humpty
wine
Dumpty.
hangover.
Yeah.
I refuse to wear makeup because patriarchy and
It's Dean, D-E-A-N, O'Kelly, O''Kelley.
And Detective O'Kelly, we've already heard earlier.
No, she
think
looks
Indigo's
like
nailed it.
hearing your credentials
she looks like
along
a
your
person who has been
credentials.
sitting for 2
I
hours
wanna
talking
focus
about a
specifically
walkthrough
on
and a
the
computer,
retrial time,
and I
the
still
time
haven't
between
found out what this hearing
Mr.
is about.
Randolph's arrest and
No,
the
we-
trial that
we-
occurred in this case.
I agree
Are
with
you
Indigo
aware
though,
during that time
what she says
period
about
of a laptop
she hasn't been poked for a
computer
long
that
time.
was utilized by
He
Mr.
hasn't
Randolph?
been told.
Yes,
And are you
not
aware
by
that at
someone
some
else and
point,
not something that needs to be
Judge Miley
recharged?
ordered that
Yes.
computer
Yes.
Hopefully
be
she
impounded
cleans
by
it not
Metro?
like Taylor's
Yes, I am.
business.
Were you contacted
Oh.
by
I hope.
anyone to get that
Stop it.
computer
I have a
impounded?
sandwich here.
my
Like,
partner, Detective Rob Wilson,
3
was
sets of
contacted. I
DNA.
wasn't.
Okay, did you have any conversations about why that computer needed to be impounded?
How old is the
No.
woman on the
To your
defendant?
knowledge or based on impound reports?
How old is she?
Does it appear
The
to you
defendant?
that Detective Wilson
Yeah.
It's a ma-
was the
it's a-
person
it's
who
a-
got the
an old
computer
man.
from the jail and then
Oh, I
impounded
forget
it?
that. Yeah,
Yes,
sorry.
he
yes,
was
no.
at the direction of
I'm joking.
Robert Dastis.
How old is he? How old is he?
I thought
Do you have any further
talked about the
knowledge as to
redhead.
why
She's not the defendant.
computer needed to be
I
impounded?
her as well, but
No.
how old is he?
Did you ever look in the computer
60 odd,
or
70?
examine it prior to the impound?
I think
Did
he's
you ever look or pull that computer out of
Gee,
evidence
in
and
the
look at
70s,
it
yeah, I
after
believe
the
so.
impound?
I did pull it
Yeah, it
out of
must be-
evidence
Oh,
last
68.
year, but no, it
68.
remained in the box.
Was it
It's a rough
pulled out of
68.
It's under
evidence,
Jamie's threshold.
so a defense expert could
Have you
access
got
and look at the computer?
threshold?
Yes, it was.
no.
So that was at the request
I
of
thought
Mr.
so.
Randolph and his
I like him
counsel?
younger.
Correct.
Have you ever
Dude.
looked at the contents
Oh, no.
of that
No,
computer?
no. I
I've actually never seen the computer.
and it was
No,
used
it's
I,
like, no.
I
after
brought
the
it out
fact.
of
Then
evidence
me,
and,
I
and
mean-
maintained contact with their
You changed
expert
that
who
little
was having
quickly,
some
didn't you,
health
Jamie?
issues. So there
God.
was a delay in getting the laptop or the expert to the laptop. So on that particular day where he was
Hey,
able
old
to
line
make
red.
it, Detective Ramos was
It
actually
looks
the
like
one that
something
broke
I
the
would
seals,
dress my kids
allowed
in when they
the
were small.
expert to image
Younger.
the
it's
hard
not a good
drive
color.
and
It
external
it
hard
washes
drive.
her
Then
out.
it went back
Her
in the
hair
box.
is
It was sealed
a
back up
terrible
and taken
color.
back to evidence, and
Her-
it remained
Oh,
there
fuck,
And
go.
her
until
face is,
I want to say
oh my
June
God, do I still have this job?
26th, around that time when you requested
She
that
just
I
her
get it
face
out of
looks like
evidence,
she's dead
because it was
inside.
being
I
returned to
don't
Mr.
know.
Randolph.
Okay, and so if I'm understanding you,
Quick
at
shout
one
out to
point
Dave
you actually pulled it out of
Umberger. Hope you're
evidence
well,
for the
Dave.
defense
You got to be
expert,
rushed
the
to
expert
hospital the other
couldn't,
night, so hope you're
Oh.
okay,
be
mate.
there for an examination
you're well.
of
Yeah.
your health issues?
Hope you're
It took,
doing
so-
good.
look
I want to
after
say it
yourself.
took like at least 10 days for him to finally get there because of his health issues. I spoke to him on the phone a couple times.
Exactly.
Aussie
That's the
or,
one I was thinking about.
A Kiwi, I can't remember which one. He had a
I
pretty
think
strong
States.
accent.
Yes.
But when
Yeah.
he was able to get there, it
Yes.
was Detective Ramos that
Yes.
signed the
What's
the
her
chain of
nanny
custody, opened the
grandma
box, allowed him to
character?
image it while he stood by.
Spawn.
It went back
Reindeer.
in the box and then was returned to evidence until I got it out this June.
Okay, so you get it out of evidence, some days pass, Detective Ramos breaks the seals and the defense expert has access, then it gets re-impounded.
Yeah, she's
up
the
until
prosecutor.
time period that I asked you to get it out of evidence this year.
That's accurate.
Good days,
Time
Dave.
I asked him to get it out.
Any time at all, did you ever
I'm
look
glad
at
to hear
the
that.
internal contents of the computer?
No, I've never seen it.
Thank you, I'll pass the witness.
Welcome back.
Good to be back.
Welcome
Liar.
back.
Is he texted?
I'm
He's like,
cooperating.
hang on, just got text. My daughter.
Well, you
He's like,
gotta
sweetie, I'll meet you
profess
at
to
the
enjoy your
bar
witness.
later.
Yeah.
Just water the succulents.
Real quickly about this computer. You're aware
He's on
that at
Grindr.
some point this case winds up in the courtroom.
That's
Police
Contour, no
presiding
shit, because I
District
use it
Court Judge
every
Stephanie
day. That
Meyer.
is
Okay.
that is Contour.
You're also aware that in preparation for that case proceeding to trial in front of Judge Miley, Mr. Randolph was allowed to have a computer within the detention center. Yes.
Correct.
And the purpose of him having that computer was to help assist his counsel in preparation for trial.
I don't know why he was given it, but I'm sure that that's the reason why.
Okay. Makes sense, right?
It makes sense. And I don't know what access he had with it. I don't know if it was taken in and out or if he had it in his cell. I have no idea.
Which one?
You do know that it was pursuant to an order that Judge
Wednesday
Miley allowed him
Adams
to have
or-
that computer with whatever.
Judge?
Or the
parameters.
judge.
I would assume that's
Yeah.
accurate. I haven't seen the order.
She
I did see
judges
the
She
order
looks like she could
to,
be the
have
Helderson case.
the computer
No,
examined
the
by your
XCOM
expert.
case.
Okay. When you say my expert,
Judge.
you wasn't.
Defense expert.
Yeah, I wasn't defense counsel.
You
at
weren't
the time,
there yet.
and neither was Mr.
What was
Warren,
his name?
correct?
No.
Salbert, you covered that.
I think Mr. Worm was there, yes. He was already on the
Sal,
case then.
sick
Oh.
of.
I was not.
You were not.
Okay. When the
I agree.
computer was
Borowski,
impounded,
exactly.
it was in the year 2014. Correct?
Sidebar.
On
No.
tax day, April 15th, I remember, yeah.
Okay. Did you pay your taxes?
I did, but not then.
Okay. Just taking
I
advantage of you.
did, I did
under oath.
before.
All right. So
Mine is-
when the computer is
The
impounded,
last one, oh, you
it
go
is at the
to school.
direction of the
You
court.
pay your
right?
taxes.
Yes,
Your understanding of how that happens
Do you want
procedurally
hand
is
with
the
your
court
taxes?
notifies Mr. Daskus that the computer is going to be impounded, right?
correct,
What are we?
So that he can facilitate having law enforcement impound the computer, right?
correct,
And then that call is made to Detective Wilson, right?
yes,
And he ultimately impounds it on, as you put it, tax day of 2014.
that's correct.
And it stays in evidence that whole time, right?
Yes,
In impound.
yes.
Nobody has access to it.
Well, it's in an impound, but nobody had access to it.
Okay.
Nobody accessed it.
And nobody accessed it, you'd agree, the chain of custody record indicates that no one accesses it between February 14th of 2014 until February of 2022.
I don't know where the February 14 of 14 comes up. April, yeah, April 4th, April 15th.
I might have said February, but I meant April.
Just like
Yeah,
can
well,
we
you
get
went
to a
tax
point?
Tax day to
any
Valentine's
point?
Day, which is, I applaud your effort, but that's, yeah.
Between April 15th of 14 until February of 2022.
If the computer hasn't been open since 2014, imagine the hell it would be opening it in 2022. It would be Windows 7 or something like that, and it would be hours to get the updates. Windows
dear
have to install an update, and I'm sure prison Wi-Fi isn't great. It would be years. They haven't opened that PC yet. It's still updating Windows.
That's
Now,
pretty
I didn't get it because they're not spelling it out, and I'm dyslexic in all languages.
true. Yeah,
Also,
I don't.
At the 2014 PC, it would be a brick.
It's so ridiculous.
April 15th
So-
of 14.
Tax day.
Does it still use floppy
Valentine's Day is
disks?
14th.
I'm confused. What are we
And
going to
then he
use? Like a
switched to,
Floppy.
No, that
Don't be
would be
forgetting Valentine's Day.
CDs.
okay.
oh well.
ROMs.
April 15th of 2014.
So
Until-
between those two times, no, nobody accessed it. No, it didn't come out of impound.
Okay, so here's what I want to ask you about. What caused the court to take Mr. Randolph's computer?
I do not know.
Okay. Do you know of any conversations between the court and Mr. Daskus on that issue?
I don't
didn't
know
think you could
of those
update
conversations. I'm
that
sure
one
they
for
took place
that old.
if Mr. Daskus related to my partner to have it impounded.
Do you know of any communications between Mr. Daskus and your partner, Rob Wilson,
Sal,
regarding
I like it.
I don't
They're
know
like
them
floppy.
personally, but I know based on the
Okay,
property
gold
report
star for that,
that
Selbert. That was
where it
Yes,
awesome.
came
that was
from.
good.
It came from Robert
That was good.
Daskus to my partner, Rob Wilson, He retrieved it from a DST specialist at the jail, and then he impounded it. And it was at the wishes of Judge Miley.
Okay.
But I don't know why.
Okay, that's my question. Presumably something happened that caused Judge Miley to take back the computer, right?
I would expect, yes.
Okay, and you just can't tell us what it was.
I don't know what it was.
And you can't tell us who looked at that computer between the time it was given to Mr. Randolph until it was impounded on tax day of 2014.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the procedures are
floppy disks
with CCDC, if he's allowed to have the access to the computer, if they somehow then also have access to make sure that he's utilizing it properly. They may have those procedures. I don't know. So I don't know specifically of anybody that was granted access to it based on procedure or not. But I know we in homicide did not access his computer.
Okay. And so the record's clear. There were no communications, according to your testimony, between the district attorney's office and the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department about the content of the computer.
That's correct.
Once you start talking about dicks, Iris pops up. And C-Sweat pops up.
Any other witnesses regarding this?
You know it.
And Jamie pops up.
Well, I mean, you
The other motions don't require
do.
witnesses.
Pop up.
We are degenerates.
Let's go forward and argue these
Yes, that's
things,
fine.
and then we'll break for lunch, and then we'll come back and do the rest.
The lifestyle, you know.
So,
Yeah.
let's back up, go back to the motion, eliminate and suppress the video walkthrough. I have read the motion, I've read the
Oh.
state's opposition, I've also had it.
So it was to suppress the walkthrough. That's not
Oh.
what Jamie said. Jamie said phone calls.
Okay, so if it was
Red.
so
I
all
need-
of this was to suppress the walkthrough, so we had to talk about the phone and the computer, the boring guy and the cat lady.
Yeah.
Defense wants to, yeah, that's what it says.
Sounds good.
I agree,
Disc-
Flux. More tits.
Flux, you hear what you want to hear. We're talking about discs. That's the problem with ladies. Always understanding what they want to understand, not what we are saying.
It's the same thing. Whenever I say tweet, people think I say tits. I don't know why that is. Nice
Yeah.
pair of twits. Tweets.
It's it's what their heart are full of.
Opportunity to review the video that was provided, and now we have heard testimony, since this is the defense's motion. Defense, your argument?
No, I think to a large extent, the pleadings encompass the arguments that we have. It is very clear, I know Your Honor was provided a copy by my office of the walkthrough, and I think Mr. O'Kelly mentioned it today, and I think Detective Mog did as well. At the inception of that video, you can clearly see indicia of impairment on the face and the body of Mr. Randolph. His words are slurred, his eyes are droopy. Detectives testified today under oath that they took no precautions in order to ask him questions about whether he was impaired. Knowing that it was going to be recorded and knowing they were going to use the content of that walkthrough against him. Mr. O'Kelly testified that he developed a gut feeling as it related to the evidence. Obviously, our position about the case is clear. But as it relates to this particular piece of evidence, you can't take an individual who you know has prescription medication, who you know that prescription medication is mind altering, who shows up to the walkthrough very clearly under the influence of those prescription medications.
He's
Have him try to
throwing her
recreate
the
a
stunner.
dynamic scene of a tragic nature and then later use it against him. It's fundamentally unfair.
Well,
The
you
jury
know,
shouldn't be allowed to
it's
see it. The detectives can testify.
he
about
likes
the
to
content of
talk
their
with his
investigation without it.
hands.
We ask it to be suppressed.
State, your response.
Your Honor, as the state noted in its opposition, there is no police
Yeah.
conduct related
We are still,
to his mental
trying to
state,
figure out
so there would have to be
how they
coercive
want to throw it
police
out.
conduct in order for the walkthrough, even if he had exhibited signs of being under the influence, for it to be suppressed. Coercive police activity is a necessary predicate to finding that a confession is not voluntary within the meaning of the due process clause of the 14th Amendment. That's Colorado v. Connolly, 479 U.S. 157. And the state cited other cases that go on to explain that as well. The state would also note, and the court has certainly had access to the recording to make its own finding. There's simply no indication
He must have
that
an
he's
Italian in
impaired.
him.
He is able to answer questions. He's able to move
That's
around.
the one he
He
texted
can stand
earlier.
on the ground to explain things. He stands up. All of his questions are normal questions when he's interacting with the detectives. When they're talking to him, he's tracking the information and he's relaying appropriate answers that are consistent.
Could you feel your
with someone
ears
who's
burn when we talked
oriented and
about this?
lucid throughout the hour
discs?
of the approximate time of the walkthrough itself. And then even if the court was looking for further indicia of the voluntariness of that statement, we've now heard testimony today that after that walkthrough took place, Mr. Randolph signed a consent to search clause, which further suggests cooperation with detectives. And then even after that, he shows up for an additional interview sometime later. There's simply no legal basis upon which to suppress the walkthrough.
Any reply to that, Mr. Tomczyk?
No, Your Honor, we'll submit it.
All right, well, I did have an opportunity to view the video as well as hear testimony today. This court does not find that there was any police conduct, let alone coercive conduct in regards to this video walkthrough. When the video walkthrough begins, there's a statement by Mr. Randolph that he is cooperating, but the follow-up to that statement is he's going to go through with this, and he does go through with this. And the court was actually noticed as I was watching the video that a lot of what he is saying is mirroring and or tracking a lot of what was said in the statements that we discussed last week. So based upon that, the court does find that the statement was voluntary and the statement was knowingly given, as well as the detective testified that did not see any indication that he was unable to cooperate. So for those reasons, the motion to suppress is going to be denied. The defense motion to dismiss the charges for a violation of the attorney-client privilege. I have read the motion, I've read the state's opposition, I've also read the reply, and we have heard testimony. And I know the defense's argument will be a little different based on the additional evidence we were able to uncover since the motions were filed. But anything else you want to add?
I believe the parties are both prepared to submit on the pleadings and the record.
That's correct, Your Honor.
That motion is going to be denied as this court does not find that there's been any showing that anyone has accessed that laptop from the time it left Mr. Randolph's possession until it was booked into evidence on tax day of 2014, and then it was taken back out of evidence per the request of the defense counsel so that their expert could have an opportunity to view it, which I believe was February 17th, 2022.
She seems like she runs a tight ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I like
the defense
that.
has a motion to strike the state's
That'll be good.
notice of expert witnesses that coincides with the motion that the defense filed in regards to Detective Mogg and Detective O'Kelly's testimony. I believe, as I previously stated to you, that some of the information that will be elicited through the arguments of both those motions will kind of overlap. But I will take argument on both of those at the same time, with the understanding we'll do that this afternoon. And then we will start with the Retrial tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Your Honor.
With the understanding that the witness is not present, we are going forward without him.
Understood. Oh, we can, if, whatever the court schedule, obviously we'll follow that, but I think the parties are prepared to argue the expert one now.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so let's go forward with the defense's motion to strike.
I just have to say, the defense lawyer, the prosecutor, she cleans up nicely.
That's the thing. This lawyer, darker hair, dimension, long layers, curtain bangs, natural makeup, a defined brow.
Why she got her
Not
boobs so high though?
That's Rita Wilson.
That's not Rita Wilson.
Who in the hell is that?
That's Catherine Tate, an English comedian. Did she get an
No.
upgrade?
Like
That's some boobies attached to a woman. I don't.
Yeah.
I just.
Well, I mean,
That's an
that.
if she's wearing like a, what are those things? God, no, it's losing my mind.
She can be really funny and she can be really annoying when she's doing comedy. Vicky Pollard. No, Vicky Pollard is that's from what's the fat boy.
David Williams and
yeah, what's the
yeah. What's his name? I don't remember his name.
No, he
Little
used
Britain. Little Britain.
Yeah,
They've
Little
all
Britain.
got it.
Yeah.
Little Britain. Caputo says no.
Yeah. I never watched The Office. Neither the British or the American one.
The British one is much better than the American one. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, I love the American one, but I'd like to see the British one because I love.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. If you like British humor, then it's
Yeah, but
it's so
but
dry.
you have to understand.
That's what I love about it.
Because as I said with the EU, I think Danes and Brits and Aussies have the same kind of dry irony humor, and if you don't get it, you just don't get it. I've seen a lot of people react to Al Murray, and he's yelling at people. Yeah, we do that when we like you. If we're making fun of you, we like you.
Yeah, take a piss at people. We like you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
When we're
who
nice
was-
to you, it means we hate you.
Oh yeah. Who was the
Joking,
comedian that got in big trouble for making fun of the gypsies lately? I can't remember who it was. Because I got in big trouble for liking him, and someone said, "Don't you know that my grandchildren are part 1,000th of, the gypsy?" And he made fun of them, and I was like, "Oh, for the love of God, he's joking. It's a joke." He actually says like, "These are jokes that are going to get me canceled." It's in fact an entire bit.
Yeah,
Never mind.
it's. But again, we have. It's American has a. Just watch. Who's the guy from Cats Does Countdown? The little text cheat. Watch him do anything, and he would get canceled in the U.S. in a second.
Oh yeah.
And Ricky Gervais.
I love Ricky Gervais.
Well, watch him. Watch the show about religion. He did it in New York. They taped it in New York, and you can just feel everyone was really anxious in the beginning, but it was really fun.
He doesn't like hold back at all.
No, I like his.
No, that Tom Hanks face, like that uncomfortable, "Oh my God, is he talking about us?" face is the most wonderful thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I want it framed and put somewhere in like a bathroom in my house. So you just have to sit. I'm going to make my guests sit and poop and look at the uncomfortable Tom Hanks photo because I'm just that weird kind of person.
And exactly, it was Jimmy Carr. Jimmy Carr,
Oh yeah. Okay, I like Jimmy Carr.
Yeah, but see, you can find some compilations of the most inappropriate jokes ever. But again, if you go to a comedy show, you should, especially in the US or in Denmark, you should expect to get hassled.
Yeah.
So it's if you can't stand the smoke and the smell in the bakery, you should get out.
No, Fedorowski, I mistaked Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air for Cliff from Family Matters. Get it right. Not Cliff Huxtable, Cliff from so I mistook him for another person. So I would just like to get my racisms right, okay?
Yeah, and again,
racism.
You don't really call them gypsies, don't you? Call them pikeys in England or in the UK?
No, gypsies. I mean, some people call them pikeys, but I wouldn't.
Oh, that's a
travelers, or I don't know.
No, it's always so I know a gypsy, and he says gypsy. That's what we call us as gypsy. So
What
it's
do
like,
they-
okay.
What is it? What is it?
It's like traveler.
Oh,
Basically,
so like what it is.
it's people who they live in the Eastern Europe, and there's a long history of hatred towards them because they live in very close knit societies and marry inside very close groupings, and I think they came from India way back, and everywhere they go, they have a reputation for having a little bit of a long finger that they might have some sticky things on.
Americans, Esmeralda from the animated Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Or Notre Dame, but you know.
I never saw it.
Yeah. Before we go, just what Evolve said about Frankie Boyle. If you've not heard of Frankie Boyle, don't watch him if you get offended, because he is straight, as in, I even cringe sometimes at some of the stuff he says, but you can't help but laugh as well.
Who is Frankie? Who are you talking about?
Frankie Boyle. He's from Scotland, so he's
Oh.
got like a proper accent. But Jesus, he just says it. I mean, whoa! Talk about dark side. He takes it to the dark side, but he's
a
hilarious.
Comedian.
Yeah,
he's a comedian.
and,
Yeah,
and it's a smash your mouth comedian. It's not.
Oh,
I'm just doing like, yep.
I'll have to listen with my earbuds.
I know.
Yeah, Jimmy Carr is smart and quick, but I really like Adam Murray because he's just so intelligent.
Yeah, he's good.
Look, I'm still a Carlin gal. I loved him when he's the only man I'll allow a little, bald ponytail from. I'll allow it. George Carlin, a bald ponytail works with him. I'll allow it. But he is.
I saw something I would like to. Where was it?
I have no
Sometimes it
idea.
just jumps on me and I can't find it. It was just someone's wrote about on MTV they had the big fat gypsy wedding or gypsy life where
Oh, I made my husband watch that, and he's like, "What in the actual hell are you making me watch?" I'm like, "Honey, a train wreck."
Yeah, it is.
There's a show about it. Good God.
Oh my gosh, Jamie, we have to watch it in Discord. It's amazing.
It was based in England. Jesus.
Yeah, and if you ever saw Snatch, they are travelers. That's the gypsy life. Or if you watch Peaky Blinders, they meet some travelers too. So, but everywhere in Europe they have kind of a bad reputation. And the little painter from Austria, he didn't like them, so he sent them on vacation too, up the oven.
Like the improper notice of expert witnesses. I have read the motion, I have read the opposition, and Mr. Tomchek did provide a courtesy copy of the reply that was filed yesterday, but I did have an opportunity.
We'll see if women like them.
Your Honor, may I be heard on this?
Yes.
Your Honor, I don't really understand why a detective can't do what we've been doing for 30 years in these courts and longer, and that is get up and testify as a detective. It was sort of shocking to read Detective O'Kelly's testimony during the last trial when he theorized that Sharon, the victim in this case, I don't know if you've ever seen the injury, it's a terrible injury to the back of her head, that for some reason he claims that she's on all fours and that maybe she hadn't died right away and she was on all fours. I don't see how he can possibly come up with that type of information. He's not qualified to do it. He at one point says there was a coup de grace shot. That caused Judge Miley serious concern. She sort of chastised the state, saying she found that highly prejudicial. He said that in his opinion, based upon another case he saw, this was an execution. Mr. Miller was executed. He described how Mr. Randolph said a fire extinguisher had fallen during this and made a loud sound. He then said, well, he conducted experiments and Mr. O'Kelly bumped into the refrigerator a couple times and that couldn't happen. It couldn't happen. He also said at one point that he talked really low to Mr. Randolph to see if he really was hard of hearing. He wasn't. He fooled him on that, and he could tell that Mr. Randolph wasn't. He also did some things to determine whether he was a liar, and he determined he was a liar. These are things he told the jury, some of which weren't objected to. He's not an expert in blood spatter. He's not an expert in ballistics, because he describes how, when Mr. Randolph describes where he's standing, that the ballistics couldn't have come out the way he said. He also talks about the injuries to Mr. Miller. And based on the injuries to Mr. Miller, it couldn't
Whiskey
have
can
happened
fix
at
that
all,
problem.
The way Mr. Randolph said. I don't think that's permitted at all. He is just
We'll come
going
back,
to
Farrell.
ultimate conclusions. Whatever Mr. Randolph said, I've looked at the evidence, and I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that's a lie. It's not true. I recognize that the court that I would have to make objections, or Mr. Tomczyk, when the witnesses are testifying. And I realize that the court will not preclude the witness from giving relevant testimony. But I am very concerned that the state is going to try to qualify him as an expert, which the Ninth Circuit has specifically condemned, saying that it is very confusing to a jury to have somebody testifying to what a lay person, or in that case, in the Ninth Circuit case, it was a case agent, testifying as case agent, and then sort of also dual role of I'm an expert, and I know these matters. And in fact, Detective Mogg, at one point in his testimony, talked about how all this jewelry just appeared to be costume. Again, he's not qualified for that, and we can cross-examine him over that. But it's a little concerning that Detective Mogg also testified in a prior murder that was considered by the Supreme Court about how an individual was laying down at the time. What we're really just trying to do is just make sure that the detectives in this case testify the way they do in every other case in our jurisdiction.
I'm
Testify
always
as
behaving.
detectives. They can
It's
come
the
in and
chat that's
testify like they
off
did
the line.
today, facts, knowledge. But I don't think it's fair to have them say that they talked to Mr. Randolph, they determined he's lying. It cannot occur this way. So, yes, there was one other that I have missed, and that is Mr. Randolph had been away in Utah before the day of this incident, and he was going away after. Detective O'Kelly said burglars would come on that day. That wouldn't be the day the burglar would come. So how Detective O'Kelly knows what day a burglar is
Educational
going to
could
happen,
be a
and
stretch.
what's in Mr. Miller's mind, we can easily argue. In other words, Judge, it's pretty easy for us to argue on that day. Mr. Miller knew that Mr. Randolph and his wife were away. He also house sits, or according to the Millers, he was involved in potentially house sitting. So this was a perfect time for him to commit a burglary. I understand the state can argue that's not when Mr. Miller would have committed a burglary.
Exactly.
They can argue that to a jury, but to have a detective making these type of sweeping conclusions, and I can imagine that a jury would think, well, he's a detective, he would know when somebody's going to commit a burglary. No, he wouldn't. And so a lot of his testimony just really out of bounds, and we don't want to do this while Detective O'Kelly's on the stand in front of the jury, objecting constantly. But we would ask the court to strike the expert notice. He can still testify. Detective Mogg can still testify. We're not asking that they be precluded, and it's simply just that they do it under.
Watch the closed caption. Everyone, just watch the closed caption.
Court to strike the expert notice. He can still testify. Detective Mogg can still testify. We're not asking that they be precluded, and it's simply just that they do it under the bounds that this court does in every murder trial that the court hears. And so I would ask that they be stricken, Detective O'Kelly, as an expert.
Iris.
And then excited summaries and sort of explaining how coup de grace shots and executions and how Mr. Randolph is lying should be, very regulated. We'll object if it comes out, but we wanted to notify the court that we found that to be inadmissible and incorrect.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, we have an intern under Rule 49.3, Tyler Christiansen, who's going to do the argument for the state, if that's okay.
Okay.
Oh.
Good morning, Your Honor.
go.
So to the extent the defendant's
Sal?
motion takes issue with page 164 of Detective O'Kelly's testimony at the first trial as it relates to Sharon Randolph, the possibility that she may or may not have been on her hands and knees at some point, the state has no intention of eliciting that testimony from the detective this time around. So that particular issue shouldn't be relevant going forward. So as it relates to the Ninth Circuit decision that the defendant cites relating to dual role testimony, a detective testifying both as an expert and to facts. ANCRM, the Ninth Circuit decision, does not categorically prohibit dual role testimony.
The ball game
dual role
ended.
testimony takes
We
place
lost.
all the time.
Ah,
And in fact, in
oh
that
no.
decision, the Ninth Circuit held that a simple jury instruction indicating to the
Don't
jury,
go there,
hey
Cecil.
jury, this is what expert testimony is. This is the expert testimony that the state or the defense intends on eliciting from this witness.
We've been going for two and a half hours. They talked about a walkthrough of a house, a PC that has been in storage for 6 years, just to get both of their. They wanted to preclude those things, and they were struck down. So just follow along.
And hey jury, here's what the facts are. Here's what the facts that we intend on, or that the state or the defendant intends on eliciting from this particular witness was fine. The court held that that simple instruction and the prosecutor couching their language in, as the defense counsel said, case agent, in your expert opinion, fill in the question there. Those two things were sufficient to cure any concerns with jury confusion or unmerited credibility, and should not prohibit the detectives from testifying both as factual lay testimony, or providing factual lay testimony, and also providing expert testimony. And as it relates to the decision that the defense counsel mentioned,
that looks nice. What is it?
Stage, the 2017 unpublished decision from the Nevada Supreme Court.
The
The
picture,
Nevada Supreme Court
Ica's
specifically
picture. You know, you just put up that Ica, whatever the name is. Ica. The picture up. That looks really nice. What is it?
It looks kind of like whipped cream and berries.
On a waffle.
There we are. There we are. Are you sure that's a waffle?
Yeah, you can see it in the, I'm pointing on my screen. You can't see me point at, but if you look in the top left corner, you can see the waffle.
Listen, as a carb specialist, I'm guessing waffle, but I could be wrong.
We're just fantasizing. That's all we're doing. Always better with whipped cream and berries, Iris.
So I should have this one on to cover up.
Birthday waffle. That's really nice.
That's a birthday cake I made. So.
Oh, that looks really nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Question for Iris, just because she's talking about rimming. Do you use whipped cream when you're rimming, Iris? Just asking.
And that's the moment Andy realized inviting Dylan could be a mistake. No, it's okay. And write it in the chat. I won't bring it on screen. Your secret's safe with us, Iris.
I'd like to tell you that
Detective Mogg as an expert witness.
chat didn't go
when the
that
state
way, but
intended on
this is the real
eliciting
world.
From
and
Detective Mogg, inconsistency analysis that no lay person could have done. The state,
But your heart is full of your mouth
relied
runs over
on
with.
expert knowledge that as a detective he had and required notice.
Well, you said chat wasn't going that direction.
Case, comparing blood
And then
spatter
there's Farrell.
evidence to his understanding of self-defense and the defendant's statements. And those two things were inconsistent. And that inconsistency analysis was not, or in that case, needed to be notified as expert.
Was everyone else
In
talking
this
about
case,
it?
that actual issue has come up before in the first trial.
Margaritas.
During the
Okay,
bench
cocktail.
conference on page 148 of Detective O'Kelly's testimony, Judge Miley said, Detective O'Kelly said that Mr. Randolph was lying. There was an objection at the bench conference. Judge Miley said he can't testify that he was lying. He can say it's inconsistent with what Randolph told him. As well as the De Pepe case, which was cited in the defendant's own motion.
Pepe case.
The quotation from that case, which is a Seventh Circuit case from 1998, says that the engineer, the expert in that case, might testify as an expert, as the engineer, that the defendant's explanation for the decision was not sound, parentheses, from which the jury might infer that money was the real reason.
Yeah.
The detective, the state has no intention of eliciting from the detective hey, detective, was Mr. Randolph lying? There's no intention of the state to do that. The state does intend on saying, based off of your expert understanding of ballistics, blood spatter, et cetera, investigations, homicide investigations generally procure over 25-year careers, were the defendant's statements inconsistent with blood spatter, ballistics, the placement of Sharon Randolph's body, and any other understanding of forensics. So that inconsistency analysis has been permitted in court before. It was specifically the court reprimanded the state and P for not noticing them as expert. So that particular part of the testimony should be admitted. As far as Mr. Miller, the testimony about Mr. Miller understanding that the Randolphs were going to be out of town around the date of the homicide and why Mr. Miller may or may not have made that decision. The state, once again, has no intention of eliciting from from the detectives, what was Mr. Miller thinking? Why do you think Mr. Miller did this? Well, the state does intend on asking, because the investigation, the thoroughness and the direction of the investigation will be at issue in this case. The state intends on eliciting from the detective, what about this information you discovered made you alter the course of your investigation and focus in on Mr. Randolph? Why did this strike you as odd as an expert in homicide investigations for 25 years? Why did that make you suspect something was off and therefore direct the course of your investigation? It's not going to the state of mind, intent, or motive of Mr. Miller. It's not even going to the truthfulness of Mr. Randolph. It's going to what did the detectives think, understand, and why did that change the course of the investigation after they learned about this piece of evidence.
But to get to what the detectives thought or understood, are you guys going to be basically insinuating that it's the statements of Mr. Miller's that got them to this point? Or Mr. Miller's understanding that the Randolphs weren't at home?
So, Your Honor, there are actually in Mr. Randolph's statements himself, there's testimony from witnesses as well as Mr. Randolph that Mr. Miller was aware that they were going out of town, they were going to come back and, kind of be here for 2 days and leave again.
Okay.
The state certainly plans to elicit testimony that Mr. Miller would have been aware that there would have been a window of time when they were home, but on either side of that, Mr. Miller was aware that they would be out of town.
Okay.
We certainly plan on asking the detectives, and pretty much any witness who ever hears about this case finds it kind of odd that Mr. Miller would choose that time, the time they were home, to do a burglary or stage a robbery or burglary or whatever. We plan to ask those questions of detectives, like, did you find that odd? Did that seem strange? Wouldn't a more advantageous time to do a burglary be when the people aren't home? Or when they're going to be out of town? Certainly with 25 years, probably combined like over 50 years of investigative experience between Detective Mogg and Detective O'Kelly, they could say that does not seem like an optimal time
as well.
to do a burglary.
Yeah.
When you have ample opportunity on either side of the time period when the Randolphs are home to do a burglary. So we do plan on asking the detectives that. Certainly on cross-examination, Mr. Tomchak or Mr. Orem could say, people make bad decisions.
What is it with people walking in and out of the courtroom while the proceedings is going on?
But certainly the state will be pointing out that the scenario that Mr. Miller decided to burglarize the Randolph's home at precisely the night
don't
they
do
were
that.
home.
Never do what Farrell says.
A little bit.
Don't Google blue waffle.
I'm afraid, and I'm
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Read that.
not going to.
Go ahead, Mr. Orem.
The other Mr. Miller knew that Mr. Randolph and his wife were going out to celebrate Mother's Day, and that they were going to be gone for approximately 4 hours, movie and dinner. And this is the time he wants to do it. I understand that Ms. Weckerly, Mr. Hamner can go to the jury and say, this makes no sense.
You didn't
It makes no
Google
sense. But to have a detective who, by the way, expert in homicide.
Look,
at the
don't
time of
give
this
your
crime,
computer
Luigi
Ghana
O'Kelly
herpessyphilitis.
had 2
It's
years of experience, and we're going to let him testify like he knows everything about. He's an expert in homicide. He's the investigator. He has a vested interest in making sure that there's a conviction because he's made the arrest. He believes in that arrest. But to let him talk about blood spatter, and I heard the prosecutor say, yeah, he's an expert in blood spatter. No, he's not. And he's not an expert in ballistics. They have experts in those fields that they can call. They have, I believe Mr. McPhail has knowledge of blood spatter. They have ballistics experts that can come in and testify. And so I understand that detectives have a right to testify to facts. And they could say things like, the defendant said he was at McDonald's at this time. We got the video.
Normally the doors are closed when they're closed. So you can't walk in doing a proceeding.
That's fine. I understand that. That's the observations. But to then make the determination for a jury, he is not on the video, he is lying, and he is lying for this reason. That is the inappropriate part of this. And so I don't understand why he's going to be qualified, these two as experts. They're not experts in homicide. I think Mr. Mogg was only in homicide for about 5 years prior to this. And you've had detectives with a lot more experience in homicides testify before you. They get to testify to what they know and what detectives testify to. Additionally, I would ask the court, have you seen detectives qualified as experts? I mean, can we do this in robbery? Could we do this in drugs? Could we start doing this all the time? In my opinion, this is what the defendant was doing, and I'm an expert in drug trafficking, and this defendant is a drug trafficker. I think it's highly inappropriate. I think that he should just be allowed to testify traditionally as a detective does. The expert notice should be stricken, and the court should be aware that Mr. O'Kelly, by the way, on some of this media, before he came in and testified last time, he made comments to the media. I'm cleaning. I'm going last. I'm coming in to clean up. Boy, he did. He cleaned up. And so I just want to put the court on notice of that. I think he wants to summarize everything and then conclude that Mr. Randolph is wrong. Your Honor, I would ask that the expert notice be stricken. He can testify, but it should be within the bounds of the Constitution. And with that, I submit it.
All right. Well, I mean, here's the situation. I understand that in the unpublished Supreme Court case, the Supreme Court did chastise the statement on notice of him as an expert. However, these detectives do have additional information that a lay witness would not have. The person who's walking down the street is not going to have had this experience, not going to have that. So I understand that that's the reason for the expert notice. However, they're not going to be allowed to get up here and do what was done at the last trial and basically testify to everything under the sun because I'm the detective and that's what I said. That's not how this works. They're not going to give any conclusions about whether or not he's lying.
I like her.
Because veracity is a question to be determined by the jury. The whole argument that was made about, well, this is not an opportune time for Mr. Miller. That's a question for the jury. Mr. Orm is absolutely correct. You and Mr. Hamler can get up here and argue till the cows come home. Look at this. Would anybody break into somebody's house when they know that they're at home? You guys can argue that to this jury, absolutely, but would be improper for Detective Mogg or Detective O'Kelly to get up here and say Mr. Miller would have never broken into. Mr. Miller had to be under the assumption, would have been in the assumption they weren't home in order to break this up. They can get up here and you could ask them, have you ever investigated a burglary where somebody broke into somebody's house when they were home? You could ask them that because in their training and experience, they absolutely have the ability to answer that. They will be allowed to answer questions that are within their training and experience, and I'm going to let them remain noticed as experts because they do possess information that a lay witness would not have, but they are not going to be able to get up here and give all of these conclusions in regards to what had to be going through Mr. Miller's mind. As far as the ballistics and the blood spatter, I don't know what their experience is in that. So you would have to lay a proper foundation before you get to that. And I don't know what Detective Mogg did in his 25 years. I don't know what Detective O'Kelly did in regards to how they know about that. Because I do know that there are ballistics experts that are certified with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department that have been used in 99% of the cases in this jurisdiction. So I don't know how we're making the jump that now it's going to let the detectives do it, and we don't need the person for firearms. And Krilo is notified, is noticed as the very next expert on the expert notice. So I don't know what it is that he knows about ballistics, but you can lay the foundation at that time, and then I will make a decision at that time as to whether they can then be asked that additional question about ballistics and blood spatter, because I don't know how they know that.
Okay. And we'll lay that foundation when we qualify them in either the court finds them qualified or not, you know, as. Well, or you can make a, I guess.
What I'm saying is you can lay the foundation, Detective Mark, in all of the cases that you've investigated, how many times have you dealt with blood spatter?
Right.
What has been your experience in dealing, you know, whatever foundational questions you want to ask, and then at that point, you can make the objection and then you can approach and say, Judge, no, they haven't established anything that says he's an expert in blood spatter.
Excuse
And
me?
I will make the decision at that time. And you can ask the next
Oh,
Nice
question
one, Bo.
regarding
The cat tooted
inconsistencies
again.
that he may have observed.
No, it was Diet Coke after
Right.
you know,
And
my
then
lovely
certainly, as they
chocolate shake
testify
since I
here
ate like a
today
drunken
with over
sailor
50
on
years
shore leave
experience,
during
they can look
vacation.
at the crime scene photos and know what
I
they
know what
saw
drunken
then.
Cheetos and
And they're
chips for
looking at them with the
breakfast,
range of
chocolate
experience that
cake.
they have
I
today.
don't see
Not the
nothing wrong with
experience
that.
they had in 2008, since
love
2000, it's the totality
You've
of their
clearly never
experience
been a drunken
in
sailor on
interpretation
leave.
of a crime scene.
Well, here's a
That's
difference
not
like
what
the
you're
gate, but I
eating.
think what Mr. Orm is getting at is
It was
when
like a 2.5. I mean,
O'Kelly
it
makes the
didn't have
determination, I believe
duration,
that this is inconsistent, and I
no,
believe these
no,
things.
no
He
hang
made that
time. It was
determination in
just, it was not,
2008. That
it's
was
not my
based on
dad's.
his expertise in 2008, and not the
I
expertise
went
that he has
to
here.
But
Lake
his
Monroe in
testimony
Kentucky.
would either be different
I did not get in the
or
lake,
it would be
but
the same,
I got
right?
my
I mean,
leg in
he
there.
in 2008, he thought this, he investigated 500 other homicides in the ensuing years before he retired. And now he's testifying as he sees the evidence today. I mean, whether or not I get the court's ruling on, look, if we lay the proper foundation for them
Whatever
being
we
experts,
get,
shall
you
we either
know,
allow or disallow a
Hostess Monday.
question?
And,
I
you
do
know,
have
we
one
try.
question I just want to ask the court for clarification on the timing of the burglary thing.
Well, you know,
I would assume we're allowed to ask both of these detectives.
I tried.
Did it
Brittany Wency
strike
has
you
her
as odd or influence the investigation when the
she's a
explanation
professional. I am
offered was,
semi-professional
Mr. Miller knew they would be
and
out of town,
semi-competent on some
that
days.
somehow this burglary occurred at the time when they would be home? Because that is a factor that they heard
My
from
ex-wife's
Mr.
house was
Randolph that
broken
struck
into
them as
2
odd, that
Christmases
kind of
in a
brings
row,
them into
and she
the
was gone
area
for
of suspicion.
not a
I
long
mean,
time.
that is a strange,
Yeah, and that
contention.
furthers their investigation,
If-
but they're not gonna be able to
if
get up there
someone
and
knows
say,
they're gonna
there
be
is
out of
no
town,
way that somebody
he
is trying to
could
break into
maybe
somebody's
try to
house
do it.
knowing that they're home.
Understood.
But they're not gonna be able to get up there and say that because they don't know.
Yeah, I understand.
And maybe I can like focus the issue a little bit more because it's not a matter, we have no objection to Cliff Mogg or Dean O'Kelly getting on the witness stand and saying, look, I'm an experienced homicide detective and I have all this training and experience. I've done all these cases. And when I reviewed the evidence in this case, this is why that was important to me. And this is what I believed about it. That's appropriate detective testimony. We're not objecting to that. What we're objecting to is the idea that, I mean, you read the expert notice. I mean, it's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever read as it's put on an expert notice. It doesn't read as an expert notice. I don't think it was written by either of these prosecutors, but it's like a summary of these are all things they're going to testify to. And oh, by the way, they're experts. When we ask an expert an opinion question, it's after doing all of these things, have you reached an opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty as to this? If they're noticed as experts on the issues raised in that expert notice, they can look at the jury and say, to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty as an expert in homicide investigations, what Mr. Randolph said is a lie. The burglary wouldn't happen.
Mr. Tom Jay, there's
Right.
no way we're gonna get to a point where Cliff Mogg or Dean O'Kelly can say to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, this is what's, because they don't know that. There's no way they have the answer. So there's no way that I'm allowing that question to be asked of them.
I mean, burglars do burglary.
She knows this one
stupid
can't
times all the time. That's
be
why
overturned
they get
again.
caught.
Well, that's complete
She's
fodder
gonna
that all
run
of
a
you guys
really
can
tight ship.
absolutely get up here and argue to this jury. I mean, I'm pretty sure the state is never going to end this case without saying, and why would anybody break into somebody's house knowing that they're home? And you guys are never going to end this case without saying, he knew that they were going out to Mother's Day dinner and knew that they weren't going to be home. That's completely argument you guys can make. And as I previously stated when I started, it's those summary issues, which I'm pretty sure Ms. Wagner is shaking her head, and I know for a fact, these two were not the prosecutors who tried this last case. And I know that they have had an opportunity to review all of the testimony in this case, and those are the issues that they are not gonna be allowed to say. I mean, that was completely opinionated testimony that should have never been given, and it's not gonna be given here. You can ask them through their training and experience, because they have had a lot of experience, which is exactly what you said. But making that jump that Mr. Miller had to have believed that they wouldn't have been, they're not gonna be able to do any of that, and you can argue all that to a jury, as they are gonna be the person to make the determination as to what they believe happened in this case.
Sure. Understood.
I just get one thing. And so if I'm just hearing the court correctly.
Oh, he's just
Oh.
woken up.
For example, hypothetically, you could ask a detective, when Mr. Randolph had indicated to you that Miller knew that they were going to be leaving the next day and were just going out to dinner for a couple hours, would you be free to ask, for the purposes of your investigation, was that a concern for you when you heard
And a
that?
little snapping of the fingers.
Yes, it was. Why
When
is
did
that?
Steve Buscemi get in?
Right, because he can absolutely testify to that.
Didn't you
because
see his
that's
eyes?
what
He was
took
just
him to
woken
the
up.
next step of his investigation, I'm assuming.
He's got those
I don't know
high
that. He
eyes.
can
It's
testify
not
to that.
his
It's what
fault.
he
He's
says.
just got
Mr.
Jim Brewer
Randolph's
eyes.
Or Mr. Miller had to have known that they wouldn't have been at home, or whatever that statement was. They can't talk about any of that because that's improper.
Thank you.
Okay? All right, so 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yes, ma'am.
9 o'clock tomorrow morning, we'll be here.
See you at 9:05.
We'll have the veteran.
Well, it got interesting in the end. The first 2 hours were kind of boring, and then
Sorry. Look at Jamie's face.
What?
You just sound
Yeah.
creamed. You just been creamed.
that was really, really good placement.
Oh, shit.
But it was interesting. And tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, I will be probably jumping on at 9 Eastern and watching the sentencing in the Adam Montgomery trial, the man who will later stand trial for the murder of his young daughter Harmony, 5-year-old. The affidavit read like a horror novel. So I watched his gun trial case. He got convicted in that, and now he had his sentencing today. But as I was following this, I couldn't switch over. But I'll be doing that, I believe, at 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, if nothing else comes up. And then again at 9 p.m., I don't know whatever Nevada time is. It's stupid time. I will see what the hearing is about again tomorrow.
Rip
It must be the
Nevada,
phone calls.
Rip Nevada watchers.
I don't know what.
9 a.m.
I mean 9 a.m.
Okay.
Thank you, Mom. It's because when I put it into Rumble,
I don't know why you get confused, people.
when I put it into Rumble, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is 3 p.m. So I watched the p.m. So yeah.
Okay.
I hit her right in the face.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, is there something we should have watched?
Oh,
Yeah, he's
Lord.
talking. Sorry. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you,
Lord,
Chrissy. I'm
Deanna's
gonna put it up.
Yes, our investigator had them on Friday. And
Okay, I got the email on Thursday.
Oh.
I was out of the. I was
Get
out of
one
town, but
time
I read it
zone.
this morning, so he does have to try.
And he got a beautiful haircut.
He did get a very nice haircut. We were just wondering, Mr. Thompson.
Jesus.
Yes?
You're talking to still with this medication. I'm telling you, well, last time we was here, because of the difference of the time, it was in the afternoon. You can ask Mr. Oram, he woke me up about a dozen times. I need to be awake during a death penalty case or any case.
Right.
But we can't get this doctor in at the same time. I've been telling him, file a kite. I need him to adjust the times on the medicine so that I'm asleep at night, not in court, but I can't get him to come out. I don't know why it is. They'll send a PA, they'll send another doctor, they'll send some provider, and they say, we can't do anything. Dr. Mapleton has to do it. He needs to do this like soon. We start picking a jury tomorrow. I want to be awake during my trial.
Oh, so it's not a hearing
And all
tomorrow,
he
it's
needs
just
to
jury. I won't
do
cover
is come
jury.
and see me, and I'll explain to him, just change it to a certain time, and I'll happen to be in the unit. And then as soon as I'm in the unit, having lunch like the rest of you, changing my bandages, brushing my teeth so Chris doesn't pass out, being normal, because I'm
What's
sitting
going
in
on?
a place that's got water on the floor and stains on the wall. And it's not good for me to be sitting on concrete hours and hours a day when I've got the compressed disc, which is causing the pain. And that's what you get the methadone for. We've talked about UMC saying methadone, the guys are crazy. You shouldn't be getting this. You must be a junkie.
Methadone for
I'm not a
pain?
junkie. I don't do drugs. So we
What?
need you to get him to come and see me soon, like today, tomorrow.
She can't order
And
anything if it's a private
I'm
prison.
there during taking a lunch like you guys do, where I'm not sitting on cold concrete, and I can change my bandages, I can do what I just told you. As soon as I talk to the nurse, as soon as I get there, the
Call it
COs will
something.
call and say he's in the unit, they'll bring me my medicine.
I just
And
lost
Mr. Rep, I'm gonna make those
Texas
requests,
time.
but as far as what they're giving you, I'm not a doctor, and we talked about this, I
No,
can't tell
Nevada is
them,
9
you
hours.
have to give them this, I'm gonna call the jail right now.
Because
and
it's
make
3
the
They're
hours
gonna give me what they give
from
me, it's
Jamie.
just give it to me when, I know when I fall asleep. I want to be awake during
What?
my trial. I can sleep at night, I can sleep during the after, at 8 o'clock at night, I can sleep. At 6 o'clock.
Yeah, he's
I don't wanna be
complaining a
sleeping
lot.
at 2 o'clock, at 10 o'clock.
Okay, I will call the jail as soon as we're done here and address everything.
All right, thank you.
PDF, isn't that a file format?
Thank
Well,
you.
I want to know what his wounds are. If he has abscesses, I'm kind of confused what he's doing.
Use methadone for severe pain.
Well,
Also.
yeah, and I'm wondering what he's got severe pain
You said
from.
compressed disc.
Yeah, compressed
So does everyone.
Yeah, I have 2 herniated discs, and I am, yeah.
You don't see me over here complaining, like I like to be awake and To be fair, I thought it was a really ugly woman on this trial. His hair.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Netflix is doing.
Oh, well. I'm gonna go have a bologna sandwich. And some water. It's good to see you. You're welcome. I'm sure we'll be talking at some point. Yeah. Okay, thank you. See ya.
So Netflix is gonna make a movie out of that. What did I put on the thumbnail?
He's cut his hair. Oh.
Yeah, because he looked like a long. I thought it was an ugly grandma. I was like,
We all did. Yeah, we all did.
And Nevada does have 2 time zones, but the 2 hours behind is like right at the border of like Utah or whatever. But they're mainly 3 hours. So I guarantee it's a 3 hour. It's in the 3 hour time zone. I don't know where this is at exactly.
No, but
Nevada.
Yeah, but like what part of Nevada?
I know.
Most of Nevada is 3 hours behind. So
yeah.
And I always listen to Jamie, so I'm gonna go with the 3 hours. But everyone, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be watching the Adam Montgomery sentencing. And then if it's not jury selection, I might jump on this one again tomorrow night because it starts 9 plus. It
6
starts
p.m.
6
your
o'clock
time.
my time, so I have to get some sleep in the afternoon if I'm trying to cover this trial at evenings. And Mo and I will figure what we'll figure. We have good figures, Mo and I.
The 3 of us, our powers combined, Earth, Fire, Wind, something or other, Captain Planet will come again.
Captain Planet. That was it.
That's in Vegas. So 3 hours.
Yeah. So that's 9 hours for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But everyone, I have to do a little rifting because on Sunday I need to this one on on Sunday I will be on with Cool Frog, having a nice chitty chat. What the subject is, I don't really know. He just invited me, and I said yes,
Cool.
please, and thank you. So I will be on with him. It'll be, I believe, 2 p.m. Yeah, because it's 8 p.m. my time. So I will be on with Cool Frog on Sunday. I'm gonna grift that all through the week. And talking about grifting, I have a little finishing thing I always do. Dylan, grift yourself.
Yeah, obviously, thank you to those who have already joined the alternate corner. Please go subscribe. Got a few new things coming along, but please book you on the 18th. I've got an interview with Solomon Anderson on the 18th at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So if you can come along to that, that'd be great to have support for that. But yeah, we just go to the alternate corner and please subscribe and yeah, join in. Cheers.
Yeah, and Dylan, thank you so much for showing up. I gave you like 20 minutes to get ready. And Jung Min,
So
thank
good.
you for reminding me to send him a link. And we had our first collaboration. We'll probably have more of those. So
Yeah,
it's always
definitely.
nice to have new faces and new faces seeing you. Maybe they don't know you from somewhere else. You can we get some new eyes. It's what this YouTube community is all about. It's helping each other. Oh, and see who shows up when you say his name. He shows up in chat. So remember, on Sunday, 2 a.m. No, p.m. Americans, go to the 24 hours. It's 1400 hours Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, we will if we screw everyone up, and we're going to metric time. So it's 100 minutes in an hour. Everyone's screwed up.
Yeah, that's Europe time is my time. Denmark should be the leader of Europe. We're the only sane people in Europe. So that will be Finland +1 and England -1. It's easy. Mauler is Welsh as well.
Oh.
And he has a very different accent. He's more like a posh accent.
Oh, not me.
No, Mauler is posh.
Oh, I thought you were calling Dylan posh. I was like,
No, I'm not calling Dylan posh. So, but Dylan stream. What? Yeah, when the Sol interview? What time will be in Europe?
It will be so it'll be 4 o'clock UK time, so 5 o'clock your time.
6 o'clock. 6 o'clock Medita time. She's in Finland, so she's an hour in front of me.
There we are.
Dylan is from Wales, so there's other things than sheep and a prince.
Oh, talk about. I wonder if she speaks Welsh. Casnewydd, Newport. I'm in the west then, more Swansea way, Carmarthen way.
And you say Danish sounds funny. Listen to the Welsh.
Well, we can have a conversation. I always speak Welsh on my stream, so
yeah. But I think it's nice that there's all these movements to keep the local languages going. And I can see only in Denmark we're such a small country, but still we have so many accents. Just on the little island I live on, I think we have like 4 or 5 really different kinds of way of speaking, and it seems like people are embracing more. Before when I was younger, we always tried to talk like people from Copenhagen, but now it's more like be proud of where you're from. So that's kind of fun. Oh, and it looks like she's.
Oh, no, I'm trying to make sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's more like a crooner in my world.
Rocks. Legend.
Well, you can just throw everything on the table and say, yeah, that's a Welsh word.
I would have done so much better at spelling.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm learning method. That's my next language. That's why That's why I'm watching the Adam Montgomery trial. But enough about all my languageal skills.
Hi, my name is Mo from Mo in the Deep End. I'm a mother of 6 with a deeply disappointed mother. I do courts, crime, current events. I'm not on OnlyFans, which is,
It's a shame.
what can you do? We do shenanigans and all sorts of things over on my channel, and I hope you come over. And, if no one's told you today, your music is not noise just because no one else can hear your tune. So dance, you crazy weirdos. And y'all are my weird family, and I love you. So, we may be disappointments, but we all have fun together.
Liz Dick.
Yeah, that's that's ending in gok 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 or something like that.
Yeah, Sanfai put gwingis go gerich. Llwyn drobwys. Go go go. Something like that.
Yeah.
Sounds
Everyone
silly,
always
go, go.
tries to bring it up, but
That's exactly what I had said. I had to said that just yesterday.
yeah, but it's kind of like when we meet somebody from another country in Denmark, and we always want them to say rødgrød rødgrød med fløde. It's red porridge with cream, but because it's all the squiggly letters, we only Danish people use, so no one can say it. So we have
See,
all
and we
these
don't
stupid
have
things.
that in America. We don't go up to people in Michigan and say like, well, okay, we do have people in Boston who say like,
"Oh,
wicked,
you're from
say
Denmark."
wicked.
No, you say, "Oh, you're from Denmark." That's funny. My family is from Denmark. They're named Nielsen. Do you know them? Yeah. Oh, Nielsen. Yeah, right down the street. Yeah, yeah. My grandma still lives in Denmark. Yeah, okay, I know her. She's a nice lady. I think
We do
Nielsen is
that with the
People
military.
do that to
So
us too. I don't know how to get like, oh, do you know? And I'm like, no.
they'll find out Mr. Mo's in the military and they're like, my husband's in the Marines. I'm like, well, my husband's in the Army. Yeah, but they were like there together. I'm like, well, they're in different branches, but I'm sure they've met each other. Yeah, Paul's doing fine. I'm sure he's great. Like they shook hands. They're best friends.
When I was in Illinois, the first time I was in the U.S., there's a lot of Scandinavian people, right? It's close to the border of Iowa, and one of the families my sister stayed with had Swedish ancestry. Yeah, they were cursed from the beginning, and the mother said, "Well, I took Swedish in school," and then she began singing a song. I don't understand Swedish. If Niklas and I get the exact amount of drunk, we can talk to each other, but it's easier for us to speak English because we don't understand each other's languages. And she had some kind of dialect I have never heard before, and she was singing a song, and my sister and I was just, yeah, we know that one. That's a good one. That sounded so Swedish. And because why ruin her day when you can lie? And those pants fit you. No, they don't make you look a little bit chubby.
It is always Admiral Akbar a trap. It is a trap,
Exactly.
men, women, they, thems. It is always a trap.
Yes, that was where I had my PTSD-inducing Danish cheese cake. It was at a hotel just outside of O'Hare Airport. I remember it to this day. It's not a catfish. He just had a haircut. They said it in the end of the trial. Don't you know? Do you know him? Her? Birchfield.
Birchfield. No, I'm not into art.
You're not an art
for
buffin.
No.
the love of all that is holy.
But Nielsen, yeah, I know him right down the street. My mother was born, to be fair. So I was born Henriksen, but that changed.
What? Hi. Hang on, I'm trying to log out of my work computer.
I can't believe work's trying to take up precious stream time.
It's clock out time, so I'm trying to clock out. Anyways, hi, Jamie.
You were saying?
I said I just hang out with these dorks. Sorry, I'm just trying to tell everybody bye so they know I'm not working anymore.
Well,
yeah, this is fun. Sorry, you ruined it. I ruined it.
No, you can't ruin a Baker stream. You only make everything better. And everyone, as we always do, we end in complete chaos because I don't like to grift myself, but I really like to grift my friends. Go look at the alternate corner, follow him. He makes a lot of streams that are really great. And he takes some interesting cases, old ones too, but I never heard about. So go follow Dylan over the alternate corner. And of course, Mo, you know her, you love her. Or as some of the people who writes me, she talks too much, she's a redhead, but I still love her. So, and I'm the important one because I send out the invites. So that's okay. And everyone, just yeah, this was the one I wanted to do. This is for Dylan, and thank you so much again, my friend, for jumping on and helping me go through these first 2 hours that was really boring, and then the last 30 minutes were okay. But I'm gonna sign off. See you all tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and thanks for watching.